What is up, everyone? Welcome to Nickel City Mafia. 8 days after the Buffalo Bills were eliminated, and everyone's been saying, "Where's Nickel City Mafia? Where are they at, Jake? Are they dodging? Are they dodging questions?" No, we haven't been dodging questions. I took it hard. I took that loss extremely hard. We're not going to get into that game, but kind of telling you why you haven't seen us for a while. Took that hard. You would think somebody asked me, Jake, hey, Mike, you've been through the 4 Super Bowl losses. You should be able to handle these things, right? And I'm like, yeah, you know what? The Super Bowl losses did help me get better with dealing with heartbreak from the Buffalo Bills. But as I'm on that downhill now of life, Jake, I'm frustrated when this team loses because I'm like, am I ever going to get to see the Bills win a Super Bowl? Ever. I've seen them get there. I know you haven't. You were very young when it did happen, I believe, right? I've seen it, but I want to win. And so it frustrates me. It frustrated me. And I said, no show. We were going to come on Wednesday, the following Wednesday, after we got all our thoughts together. I know you were kind of heartbroken too. But then life got in the way. Life gets in the way. One of us has something come up. Then we were going to go last night. Jake was a little sick. So life's gotten in our way. But Jake, people have been saying, where we been? How you doing, my friend?
Yeah, Mike, I want to just show you a great depiction of, kind of what the Buffalo Bills have done to me. My favorite Buffalo Bills hoodie. I now have a hole right over where my heart is, Mike. Right? They've ripped my heart right out of me, okay? Gosh, it's been a tough week and a half. It really has. And I'll tell you, I don't think it makes it any better now that we see the New England Patriots going to the Super Bowl. And, beating a team in a very, you got to give them credit where credit's due.
Gotta give them credit.
Beating a team with a backup quarterback by 3 points in an ugly game when Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills put up 30, even though he had 5 turnovers. It rips your heart right out of you. And then you see all of these. It's like the NFL's mocking us, right? You see all of these would have been catches and called catches on the field that, our catch, was ruled an incompletion and an interception, whereas all these other plays are ruled completed catches. And one thing after another, it almost feels like we're just being laughed at and mocked to an extreme. And that could just be bias on my end, right? But it's been a tough week and a half, Mike. And then of course we lose our guy Sean McDermott. So
yeah, it has been quite
chef's kiss.
Yeah, been quite the whirlwind there. Jake, I don't know. I mean, let's talk. You brought it up. Yeah, we had salt poured on the wounds. Vrabel takes over the Patriots after a 4-13 season, and they're able to turn it around with a second-year quarterback, very good quarterback. And I'm not going to give any excuses or say anything negative. They earned it. They got there. Yep. But how do you think they did it, Jake? I mean, Vrabel, and we're gonna go back in history here because, look, I wasn't somebody who wanted Sean McDermott. I was never on that train, never on the fire McDermott. And I know for the past 4 years at least, Jake, every time the season ends, we got people fire McDermott, fire McDermott.
Oh yeah,
I wasn't on that train at all. I didn't want to fire McDermott. If anybody, I want to fire Bean. And if they were going to fire McDermott, I wanted Bean to go as well. Let's get a clean start. Now, look, while I was sad and I'm disappointed, I'm not one of those folks that are like putting a petition together to try to get the Bills to re-sign Sean McDermott. My dad was telling me that's a thing, I guess.
Mm-hmm. It is.
It's time to move on. I got to move on, right? And we're going to talk about some of the coaches that the Bills have been talking to and things like that. But, I mean, where were you on that train? I don't think if I recall, you were never on the fire McDermott train either.
No, I wasn't. I was I had been asked a few times even after this year because people had been spurring rumors, basically suggesting even if the Bills lost in the wild card that McDermott would be fired. And they had mentioned that the Buffalo Bills and possibly like the Green Bay Packers were in the search for a new head coach, which obviously for the Packers that didn't happen. For the Bills, it is. It's very frustrating, Mike, because with McDermott, we did some some great things, and I've seen some former players come out and say, Jerry Hughes basically saying after 13 seconds, I knew this was an unserious type of deal, and you hate to see slander about a guy like that, because I do think he did a lot of good for Buffalo, and I'll always remember these 9 years. I mean, it's been the greatest 9 years of my life watching this team, so I'll never forget it. I appreciate the moment. I was pretty bent out of shape when I heard that he got fired. I was kind of like in disbelief. So it hurt me to the core. And it's funny, you see all these people that were on that fire McDermott train, and they're like in awe of the fact that he actually got fired. Like they actually did it, that people like couldn't believe it. And I think they were even upset, So, and then you hear all this stuff about how Brandon Beane then gets promoted and how he's Terry's favorite child, and how people have really turned against Brandon Beane now and are more like, why didn't we keep Sean McDermott? Brandon Beane should have been the one to get fired, or they both should have been fired. So there's just been a lot of discourse around the whole thing. And I guess that's why we're here. We're going to break it all down.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were disappointed in what went down. And I think if you think about it, Jake, when you have a bad experience, let's say at a retail store, you're more likely to go on and give a bad review versus somebody like me who went to the same store and I love it. I go there all the time, treat me well, but I don't go out there and give them a good review. So I think the ones that were shouting fire McDermott were fewer than the ones that were like, no, I'm good with McDermott, just like you. I mean, he brought us out of the darkness. He's gotten us close many times, and it just went down the way it is. So we're both shocked. Here's what it is. We're going to talk about some of these coaching candidates. We already talked about Vrabel. Vrabel is, was a former head coach, former player, former head coach for Tennessee. Real good coach. We all respected him. Had no idea he was going to be able to come in and turn this franchise around in 1 year and get them to a Super Bowl. But anyhow, let me share with you before we get into the candidates. And I want to say hi to everybody. First of all, Weston, thanks for joining us.
There he is.
Mr. John Robert, always good to see you out there. We'll talk about who might be the new head coach. And John says Seahawks should win. They're 5.5-point favorites. At least they were following the games yesterday. I don't know if that line's changed, but I think it's going to stay around there, I would imagine. And then Big Al out there, he's saying Kubiak. Yeah, it's too bad we can't interview the guy until after the Super Bowl, Big Al. Yeah. Because he probably is the guy that they want. Of course, we don't know what his thoughts are, right? He might hear what he has to deal with here, and he might decide to stay. Or, I mean, he's the hottest candidate out there, Jake. Let's face it. Right? If he was available, we'd be talking to him. And
absolutely,
I know he has been approached by some other teams as well. Prior, we were just a little late to the game, so I'll be curious. I'm hearing people say that they think the Bills are going to come to a decision early this week, Wednesday or so. Yeah. If that's the case, then we're just not even waiting. And I get why you wouldn't wait. There's a long time to wait, and all these other potential candidates. The ship might have sailed by that time.
Personally, I think the whole head coaching process is ridiculous. Like the interviewing process, allowing to interview at certain times and not. I think you make a general rule moving forward, Mike. This is my honest opinion. You don't allow any interviews to happen until after the season is completed, after the Super Bowl. Make it an even playing court for every single team, because you have some teams that have already hired their coaches. You have other teams that can't even interview guys like Clint Kubiak right now. And I think it just makes it pretty frustrating. It's like you're going to allow this guy to get a 3-week jump on another team that, you're essentially being punished for losing in the divisional round where your team made it farther than another team, and they have their head coach. They're able to kind of get things established and hire a staff. And, this goes into draft prep. It goes into everything, free agency. And I mean, shoot, if the Bills did wait until after the Super Bowl to interview Kubiak, I mean, we have less than a month basically until free agency opens. So I just think it's ridiculous, and they need to do something about that.
Yeah, we got Jungle Cat Radio joining us. Thanks for joining us, Troy. It was good to see you. And then John Roberts says, people do not realize the petition will not work. Yeah, it
100%.
The guy owns, Pagula owns the team. It's
great sentiment. I listen. I love Sean McDermott, and it's interesting because now you're kind of seeing you wonder, has he been blackballed? Has he been, is he going to just take a year off of coaching? Because there hasn't really been any announcements of him receiving interviews with teams, and maybe he's kept that private. Who knows? He may just take a year off. I know he's got a daughter that's going to be going to Notre Dame for softball, I think, and then His son is going to be a starting quarterback in high school football here. So I don't know if he's going to stay in Buffalo or what his plan is, but it kind of looks that way. So we'll see.
Steve, good to see you out there, sir. He says they could have waited several weeks to announce Bean's promotion. They made it salty and personal in many people's eyes. Yeah, and then that whole press conference was a debacle. I mean, they contradicted themselves multiple times in that. They made Keon Coleman probably feel like he was not part of the team or he's going to be released soon. They try to backtrack on that later in that press conference. It was just terrible. And Pagula, like many people said, should never be behind a microphone again. He could see that he was jumping in, and I think Bean was surprised a few times when he jumped in, but that whole situation was just a hot mess. So Jake, let me tell you, let's go back in history a little bit, because I hope the people that have been saying fire McDermott, it's not that simple to hire a coach and take you to the next level, right? It's not that easy. So I'm like, all right, let me go look back in history and see how many times has a first-time head coach taken over a team and gotten them to the Super Bowl, or a former coach taken over a team for the first time and gotten them to the Super Bowl, and what were those results? So obviously we have Vrabel. We're still waiting to see if he's one of those guys. Second-time coaching player for the Patriots, extremely good player. Super Bowl coach for the Titans, and now coaching for the Patriots, taking them to the Super Bowl. We'll see how that finishes. But let's go back in time here. So again, my criteria was rookie coaches for the first time taking over a team, whether they're good or not, and did they get them to the Super Bowl that year, or former head coaches that took over a team and get them to the Super Bowl. Let's go back to 1970, Jake. 1970. How old were you back then, Jake? Were you even born?
Not even a thought. Not even a thought.
Not even a thought, right?
Big Al was only 10 years old at that point.
Big Al, yep. I was.
How about that?
Shoot, dude, I was 4 years old. 4 years old back then. Don McCafferty was a rookie head coach for the Baltimore Colts. Takes them to the Super Bowl in 1970 and wins the Super Bowl. Who did he take over for that year? The great Don Shula.
How about it?
Don Shula had his final season there. He was like 8-5-1. The Colts were. They didn't make the playoff. The season before that was the embarrassing big loss to the Jets. Super Bowl III, they were heavy favorites. They lose to Joe Namath and his guarantee I'm going to win the game. So there you go. Don McCafferty, he was... Let's see here. Let's see. I'm trying to see what he was. McCaffrey was promoted from assistant coach under Shula. All right, so keep that in mind here. Let's see if we find any patterns here.
Interesting. By the way, just a fun fact about that Super Bowl. Yeah. Only Super Bowl in NFL history where a losing team's player was the MVP. Chuck Howley for the Cowboys.
Wow, right.
Pretty interesting. Fun fact for you.
Yeah. So they had the great Johnny Unitas, but he got hurt in that game, and Earl Morrall finished the game and won the Super Bowl. So McCafferty was, again, he was assistant coach under Shula, was a former player, played for the Giants back in 1946, and he was a head coach for Kent State University. So there we go. Rookie head coach takes over the team after they had actually had a down year.
Yeah.
And I think Shula left for Miami because he was, not and didn't have a good relationship with the owner. He actually got this massive offer to go to Miami, and we all know what Shula did in Miami. Got the undefeated season.
Good all too well. There. Shout out to you, Troy.
Yep. What do you say? I was 7 years old. Yeah. All right. So it was 1970. Don McCafferty takes over, rookie head coach, wins. Okay, I like that. Wins the Super Bowl. Now we go to 1977, Jake. Red Miller.
Wow.
Ring a bell to you? Red Miller.
Yep.
So Miller was also a rookie coach. He takes the Broncos to the Super Bowl, and they lose. So John Ralston, prior to Red, had the franchise's best record in 1976 at 9-5. Having lost his GM duties in 77, Ralston decides to resign. Red Miller stepped in and got them the Super Bowl, only to lose to the Cowboys. But he won Coach of the Year, and he's famous for the infamous Orange Crush defense. Remember that defense?
Oh, I
Orange
love it.
Crush.
Absolutely incredible. Yep.
Yeah, so he served from assistant coach in Denver from 1963-65, went on to do some other coaching duties with other teams, and the Broncos hired him as the coach in 77. So here's a shot here where a rookie head coach takes over a team, gets them to the Super Bowl after a pretty decent team, 9-5, but they lose, unfortunately. Then let's go to 1989. This got some good stuff going on here. George Seifert. Remember him?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Took over for Bill Walsh.
He won 2 Super Bowls as an assistant coach. Actually, he was the defensive coordinator there in San Francisco. Gets promoted after they had won a Super Bowl. Bill Walsh says, man, he wants to take time. He's mentally drained. He steps away from the game. George Seifert is promoted and wins the Super Bowl in 1989. So that one you can say, all right, we got a rookie head coach once again. Defensive coordinator promoted from the same team. I want to see if we find any patterns here. Promoted from the same team. We've talked to a couple of our coaches that are on our team, whether that was Brady or Dable, who's a former coach. So let's look for some patterns here. George Seifert, rookie head coach, wins. But again, that one to me, that was a Super Bowl team, Jake. He actually won another Super Bowl with the 49ers a few years later. That was just a great team. So let's go. Now, this one's really interesting. And we only got a couple more to get through, folks. Bill Callahan in 2002. This one's going to blow your mind. He's promoted. He's a rookie head coach. He's promoted from the offensive coordinator for the Oakland Raiders. So guess who he took over for?
John Gruden.
John Gruden in 2001 was in that game where that infamous tuck rule, Tom Brady looked like a fumble. I turned that game off and left, Jake, when that happened. I remember watching it. It happened. I turned the game off, left. Next thing I know, somehow the Patriots won that game.
Ridiculous. I know.
Oh, my goodness. So Bill Callahan takes over, promoted from the OC, and he loses for the Raiders. But guess who he goes against? John Gruden, who had just been the coach in 2001 for the Raiders, gets traded. I don't know if there's ever been a coaching trade, Jake, but the Buccaneers, who Tony Dungy had really set that team up, wasn't getting them over the hurdle there or the hump. And Gruden they trade for him. They offer up. Let me give you some ridiculous things here. Bucks offered 2 first-round picks in 2002, 2003, 2 second-round picks in 2002 and 2004, and $8 million in cash. So they swap. And guess what? They meet each other in the Super Bowl in 2002. John Gruden gets the victory. Bill Callahan gets the loss there. Obviously, that was Gruden's only Super Bowl. So there's evidence there. Get the
it's coach, crazy because, just as much as Dungy set up that Buccaneers team for Gruden.
Yeah.
You could say that he kind of set up that Raiders team for Callahan to get to the Super Bowl. I mean, Rich Gannon wins an MVP that year. Jerry Rice at age 40 has over 1,200 yards receiving. By the way, no one has ever done that in history. That's why Jerry Rice is the greatest football player of all time. I'll die on that hill. And here I go on a tangent again. But yes, that one is historic, though, because there's just so much of a storyline that played into that. Shout out Dexter Jackson, too. Super Bowl MVP. Kind of, he was decent for a couple of years after that, but just a very random Super Bowl MVP.
Yep, agree. So we got 2 more to talk about here, and the next one happened in 2009. So again, Gruden takes over for the Bucs, gets that Super Bowl for him. Tony Dungy would later get a Super Bowl with the Colts. Good for him, because a lot of people are like, "Oh my goodness, they screwed him over." They screwed him over here. But anyhow, Jim Caldwell. Let's talk about that. Yes, Colts. In 2009, rookie head coach takes over for the Colts. He took over for Tony Dungy, who retired. Again, Dungy wanted to spend more time with his family. So he had won a Super Bowl with the Colts. Good for him. He retires. Caldwell takes over and gets the Colts to the Super Bowl, only to lose. I forget who they lost to, but they lose that game.
New Orleans Saints.
So again, we're seeing some rookie first-time head coaches. Let's see here. And I think Caldwell, was he?
They're like 14-2, I think, that year. They were really good.
I'm trying to think, was he promoted? Was he part of the team?
He was. He was already on the team.
Yep. So another one promoted from within gets a team over the hurdle here.
Yep.
The last one is the father of the hottest coaching prospect in the league, and that is Gary Kubiak.
How about it?
Right? So Gary Kubiak takes the Denver Broncos to the Super Bowl in 2015 and wins. And this one's similar to the McDermott thing because John Fox had coached that team for 4 straight years. Yep. He had won, I think, 2 AFC championships, took him to the Super Bowl 1 time. He has a 12-4 record his final season. And I say, we're done with you, John. You can't get over the hurdle. They hired Kubiak. Kubiak now was a former coach. Kubiak had coached with the Texans, right? So here's a little pattern there. Former coach. He was a player too.
Played with the Broncos.
Well, right?
Yeah.
So he takes over in 2015, wins the Super Bowl. He only was a coach for a couple more, I think 1 more season. He had some health reasons that he had to retire. How crazy is that?
Yeah. Poor Weston. I know. Listen, dark days for you, sir, for sure. Yep.
In any case, all that history, and then, of course, we're waiting to see what happens with Vrabel. Again, Vrabel's a former coach. So what I'm liking here is former coaches that had come and coached the team for the first time. We've got, let's see here. We don't have a lot of them, but Gruden's 1. Weird situation there. Kubiak's 2. And Vrabel. So we got 3 potential former coaches who came with another team and potentially win a Super Bowl. We're waiting for the details on Vrabel. We'll see how that plays out. But how crazy is that? I mean, it is. When I look at that, I see, okay, there's a chance there. We can hire a guy and get us over the hump, but it's rare. It doesn't happen that easy. It's just not like pick this dude and he's going to get you to Super Bowl. Jake, at the Buffalo Bills, I don't care who takes over for them right now. And we're going to talk about some of the candidates we haven't talked to. If they don't make changes on that roster, I don't believe anyone can get them to the Super Bowl with the current roster. What's your thoughts?
I would 100% agree with that, Mike. Yeah, I mean, I think no matter what, as long as Josh Allen's your quarterback, you're going to get a 10-win season. You'll be double-digit wins no matter what. I don't care who's coaching. Just Josh Allen's talent alone. If he's healthy all year, and I say healthy with an asterisk because he's never totally healthy because the guy plays reckless as all hell, and I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world. I think you're a 10-win team. So pretty much you're in a playoff spot at the very least with Josh Allen. Now, to take it to the next level, yeah, I think you absolutely. I mean, we saw it this year. Just the lack of weapons. How long have we been saying that? And, just a total depletion of our defense in terms of injuries. And, we're very old as well. Like there was a lot that played into it. Speed is huge. Obviously, having the weapons around you is also enormous. So, yeah, got to find the guy who's going to take us over that hump.
Yeah, I mean, look at the weapons these teams that are going to the Super Bowl have. You got Seattle with JSN, wide receiver. Yep. That guy's a stud. Oh, my goodness. And the Rams, who had both Puka and Devontae Adams. Oh, my goodness. Not as well as their quarterback. Their tight ends and their running backs. And then you got you got Drake Maye and the Patriots of the world with Stephon Diggs. Oh, my goodness. Who would have thought Stephon Diggs would get to the Super Bowl without the Buffalo Bills? Oh, my goodness. Good for him. Good for him.
Yeah.
Right? It's just crazy. And then you got Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, who was drafted in the same year as Josh Allen. 5 different teams. Looked like he was a bust early in his career. Of course, he started with the Jets, which is never a good thing. But looked like he was a bust. And then last year, he comes on big with Minnesota, gets a huge contract for Seattle. And here we are now. He's in the Super Bowl. Josh Allen it's just crazy.
Full circle moment from the team he was seeing ghosts against to now he's playing them in the Super Bowl. I mean, it's just, it's wild. It really is. And it really, like you think about his journey to get to where he is, it's an incredible story. I mean, I got nothing but love for Sam Darnold. I think
Same here.
He's battled through it, man. And you know what? I'll say this too about Drake Maye. You can hate on him all you want. Sure, he had a ton of turnovers. He didn't play great in the playoffs. But when it mattered, that dude got it done. Like, gutsy performance yesterday. I knew he threw for only 86 yards. The guy had how many yards rushing?
Yeah.
Made huge runs, made huge plays with his legs. And sometimes that's all it takes, especially in those sloppy games like that. Josh Allen himself has games where it's sloppy and it doesn't look pretty, but That's the difference between an average quarterback and a great quarterback. And I'm not saying I think Josh is a better quarterback than Drake Maye. Don't get it twisted. But I want to give Drake Maye credit. I want to give him flowers. I think, he's got a bright future in this league. And man, the Pats got a good one. I also love that the dude goes sleeveless in cold weather like
Right?
that. That's a dude I'd go to war for any day of the week. Absolutely love that. He's not one of these candy-ass quarterbacks out there wearing long sleeves and afraid to get hit. He's out there gritty, doing his thing, True leader. Absolutely love it. It's great.
Yeah, I agree.
I hate that it's with New England, though. I hate that it's with New England.
I wish we would have seen Bo Nix, here, 2 second-year quarterbacks, and Bo Nix had a great year as well. And obviously, you saw what he did in the game against us. And who knows how that game turns out. I'm not going to take anything away from the Patriots again. Great job. I'm just still in shock. They're a 4-win team last year. They turned it around. They had a great offseason, great draft. Second year quarterback developing even more. They get Steph Diggs this year, and they got Mac Hollins. 2 of our receivers just recently,
I know,
right?
Perfect.
And they're in a Super Bowl.
We're still paying for Steph Diggs too, by the way. Insane.
We got Brett out there saying hi. Good to see you out there, Brett. And we got a new subscriber. Thanks for joining us. Stream Smart SWFL.
Southwest Football League. Is that what we're talking about?
Let's see. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you. And it's just a reminder for me, if you're new to the channel, I drop a nickel on that subscribe button. And if you're not new, smash that like button for us. We greatly appreciate it. Let's see here. Steve says, I expect an offensive mind will be the next head coach, but I truly believe that the DC hire will have the biggest impact and the most important part of this hire. Absolutely. So right now, Jake, as far as I know, Brady's still our OC and Babbage is still our DC. Is that correct? Those guys are still on the team.
They're still on the staff, technically. Yeah.
Most times when a coach is hired, they want their own guys, right? So unless Bean's going to say these 2 must stay and that's part of the deal, I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, most of the time they'll bring in their own coordinators. There's usually one position coach that's a retainer. I would hope they'd retain a couple guys. Some names that come to mind, Rob Boris, the tight ends coach, he's done a great job, and they have a great group of tight ends. I mean, what he has done has been tremendous. That would be one I would definitely consider keeping on the staff just for continuity, building rapport, keeping that rapport. And then you look at the defensive side, maybe like Jamil Aday, the DB's coach. I think he's done a really good job as well. So that would be a solid keep. But yeah, otherwise, Mike, I would expect everyone to probably go unless, of course, Joe Brady is promoted.
Yep. We'll talk about that in just a second here. We're going to go through the whole list of who they've brought in, get your thoughts, get the channel's thoughts and things like that, because everyone's wondering who's going to be that next coach. Yeah. Again, we already talked earlier on. Kubiak would have been our choice. Of course, we can't talk to him. If you're just joining us, can't talk to him until after the Super Bowl. That's a long time to wait, especially when you got other folks you've just interviewed. Phillip Rivers interviewed with us. By the way, I was for it. I'm like, look, if we're doing this, let's go. I would love Phillip Rivers in the press conference. Obviously, all the years experience he had, but guess what? He said, nope, I don't want it. I'm out. He must have heard. He's got a big family. He retired for a reason, but Phillip Rivers withdrew his name from the potential coaching job for the Bills. Without news, so Stream Smart, I think Jake kind of hit it on the head there. The new coach, whoever the new coach is, unless it's promoted within, probably going to see a new OC and a new DC. And who that be, it'll just be up to whoever that coach. They usually like to bring people they've worked with before.
Yeah. So
we'll have to see who that is.
I like what Steve says. I 100% agree. It would make a lot of sense because he was here in 2024, coached the D-line, I think, with us for a little bit. So, yeah, it would make a lot of sense. I think he was the assistant D-line coach in 2024 with us, Matt Edwards. So, obviously, bringing a familiar face back and then a young mind. I mean, sure, why not? If you're going to go young, let's swing for the fences and make moves in multiple ways there. I love it.
Yep. All right, Jake, let's go through the list at who we've brought in, and let's get your thoughts on the channel's thoughts. So obviously the first interview back in January 21st, not that long ago, was Mr. Joe Brady. Now, Brady has been interviewing with other folks, And what's your thoughts on him potentially getting the job? Now, let me just say this again. We saw back in history, people promoted within. Out of the 6 or 7 times, 4 times, they were able to take that team to the Super Bowl, whether they lost or win it. They didn't win it all the time. But I feel like if Joe Brady is promoted, it's the least amount of change for the Buffalo Bills right now, I think, right? They don't, what do you want to call it? They don't change things around too much. But what's your thoughts on Joe Brady potentially being the Bills head coach, sir?
If you would have asked me maybe 5 years ago when this was the situation, I probably would have been more for it. But right now, I am so not for it. And I think it's unanimous basically across all of Bills Mafia that they just don't want Joe Brady to be promoted. Like, people are so over it. They were over it midway through the season with him as our OC. And this is, again, it's no shade being thrown at Joe Brady. I think what he did was good. You develop this balanced offense. There was some success, obviously, right? But I think people were it was just so long in the tooth with the screen game and just calling the same plays over and over again to a point of it being like insanity. In crucial situations, especially, Mike. I mean, momentum killers, drive killers. There was just a lot there that seemed questionable to us. And, you promote a guy like that to head coach. I think those decisions kind of muddy into the waters when you become a head coach too. So I just feel like it's not a good fit. It does make sense from a continuity standpoint. Obviously, he has rapport with Josh. He's built a good relationship, I feel like, with most of the team, the offensive side of the ball at the very least. But yeah, I think, listen, you're going to fire Sean McDermott. You're going to make a big splash move like that. You better make a big splash move to bring in a brand new coach. Bring in an outsider.
I agree with you. I love this, Big L. Again, this just comes down to, are they willing to wait to talk to Kubiak, right? You have to wait till after the Super Bowl to talk to him. And then who knows? He might not even be interested. And he also has interviewed with some other teams as well. How many teams are left, Jake, off the top of your head? Do you know how many teams are still looking for a coach right now?
I think 3 or 4. We got the Cardinals still looking, the Raiders, the Browns, and the Bills. So it's 4 total that are still looking. Yeah.
All right. And then John Robert comes in with the. So I would love that, Big L. I would absolutely love it. But I don't know if they can wait that long. I just don't know.
And if you remember, when Jim Schwartz was our DC, I mean, this is the last time that we had multiple guys get over 10 sacks. We had 3 guys, I believe, on that D-line that had 10-plus sacks. Yeah. I mean, it was incredible what he did.
And then John Robert, McDaniels would cancel. He can't handle the cold.
Mr. I wish it was colder. Absolutely love that, John Robert. Love it.
Yeah, Kenny, thanks for joining us from Facebook. Thank you. Need Brady to go to get a job elsewhere, but likely he's gone anyway. Yeah, if he doesn't get this position, he's, like we said just a few minutes ago, that new coach is going to want his own people in there.
Yeah, 100%.
John Roberts saying Joe Brady is interviewed with the Raiders 2 times.
Yeah, and he also interviewed with the Ravens twice too, and they ended up moving forward with Jesse Minter. So, yeah, interesting. Usually when you have a second interview, that's pretty encouraging. We'll see. I don't know if he even has ties to the Raiders. Like, does he know someone there? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I don't think he does. But it sounds like they definitely want to go in a younger direction. I mean, they just had Pete Carroll, who I think at the time was the oldest head coach in football. So, yeah, it makes a lot of sense to go with a younger candidate.
So, Jake, the next guy we talked to, another one people know very well, was pretty successful as an offensive coordinator for us, goes on to the Giants, and that's Dable, right? Yep. And Brian Dable, who we think we've had in our channel before, comes in. Yeah. But to me, okay, so there's a pattern from the folks that I was going in the history, right? Former coach, actually familiar with the Bills, by the way. I mean, I loved when he was with us. We were more of a passing team. Had some of Josh's best years quarterbacking. He goes on to the Giants, gets to the playoffs his first year. Credit to him. Didn't go so well the following years, and here he is on the market again. But Brian Dable, what's your thoughts on Brian Dable, and what do you guys think out there in the channel?
It's interesting. I just got an update here. Sleeper, it's a rumor talking about Jimmy Haslam's refusal to allow an outside hire head coach pick a defensive coordinator is giving Nate Scheelhaase and other head coaching candidates hesitancy to move forward with the Browns head coaching job. They're saying that Jim Schwartz is now gaining momentum in the Browns head coach search. There you go. Interesting. Real time. Love it.
Love it. Yes. Thank you.
Sorry. I go ahead again. I apologize.
Brian Dable, your thoughts on Brian Dable?
Brian Dable. Yeah, I think you brought up some good points. Obviously, with Josh, best statistical passing years of his career. Then again, we also had Steph Diggs, we had Cole Beasley. I will say this. I think the way that he schemed guys open was extremely impressive, and it's something that our OCs have really struggled to do. And I get it. Like, obviously, we don't have the most household names at receiver right now, but there was an art to that. I mean, when Steph Diggs came to Buffalo, he was good, but Daboll and Josh Allen made him great. You look at Cole Beasley. At the most, I think he had 800 yards with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Here, he was damn near a 1,000-yard receiver and arguably one of the best slot receivers in football. And again, Cole Beasley, good player, but I think he helped elevate those guys' games so much. And, I think what he did here as an OC was really impressive. Does it translate to being a head coach? Now, when he was with New York, a lot of people forget his first year. The guy goes 9-7-1 or 9-6-1. Goes to the playoffs, wins coach of the year, wins a playoff game in Minnesota, a game that they were heavily underdogs in. Had an interesting roster. Daniel Jones looked really good underneath him his first year and then kind of fizzled out. He did also have Saquon Barkley. So the makeup of their roster, obviously they didn't have a Josh Allen, but they had an elite running back. So when Daboll was here, he didn't have an elite running back. His best running back was Devin Singletary. He had Frank Gore. Like, he had guys that were just kind of circling in and out. And this is no disrespect to those guys, but we have a dynamic back that is a top 5 running back in the NFL right now. So it'd be interesting to see what he can do with that. And then you get him a weapon on the outside. In addition to, maybe things change. Obviously, he has a great relationship with Josh. Josh being very involved in this head coaching search makes me think that he is probably the favorite. I do have a little bias towards Daboll just because he went to St. Francis, alma mater, no big deal. Shout out to you too, Kenny. Kenny's also a Franny's guy, one of my neighbors. Love you, Kenny. Thanks for joining us. Buffalo guy through and through. Nothing more that this dude probably wants to do than to win a ring with his hometown team. So that's a cool story. But then you see the negative side, obviously, right? You see a lot of these coordinators who just can't work with him when he's a head coach, and maybe he has a little bit of a power trip and he's a big-time hothead. So maybe as a head coach, he's not a good fit in general in the NFL. It's tough because the evaluation you're going to give him is based off his tenure with the New York Giants, who have been an absolute dumpster fire. So I think if he does get hired with the Bills, you have to go in with an open mind. You have to think of the positives and give it a chance. And I get it. I think he'd be upset because obviously you go from McDermott to another guy that really hasn't had a lot of success, in terms of his head coaching record, right? But I would understand why they would do it.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. And Daboll he would hold Josh accountable.
He would.
Right. So talking about that, what do you think about Josh supposedly being part of this process to hire a new coach? What do you think about that? I think it's a little strange to me.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of things come out too where McDermott and Josh kind of had a tough relationship in that sense where they didn't maybe necessarily see eye to eye because the organization wanted to build around Josh and kind of get his input on a lot of things, whereas McDermott felt like it should be ran through him. And I think this is sort of what Tyler Dunn alluded to in his interview with Jim Rome earlier today, suggesting that there was kind of a power struggle, and this is not to throw shade or blame on anyone. I don't think there's an issue there. Obviously, Josh made it work. I think they were very professional with one another, but maybe there were some disagreements because, him being so involved, it could definitely rub some head coaches the wrong way, especially a veteran guy like McDermott. Now, moving forward, hiring a brand new head coach, I love that he's involved in the process. Love it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And you know what? People put it out there to build players that are currently on the roster. My boy Reed Ferguson came back. I think my cousin tweeted at him. He said, "Hey, Snapflow, you got any issues with Josh Allen being a part of the process of hiring a new head coach?" I said, "Absolutely not. Not whatsoever." That's your leader. This is the guy that, honestly, we haven't given him enough. So he should be involved with the process, in my opinion.
I don't know.
You don't like it.
I don't necessarily like it. He's a quarterback. Stick to being a quarterback. Conflict of interest. What's he going to ask? I don't know. It's interesting because I don't want someone he's going to be best friends with. I don't. I want him to get along, of course, but I don't want to be like, oh yeah, this guy's great. Love his attitude. He's going to pretty much, work with me, do what I want to do for the most. I don't know. I just feel like I want him out of that process. I want him worrying about, getting better for next year, focusing on the things that he needs to focus on, and stay out of this process.
So I
And
think
now, if they want to ask him after the fact, hey, we're thinking about this guy. Do you have any thoughts? Blah blah blah. But being a part of it, I don't know, it just seems strange to me. But I hear what you're saying, Jake. I mean,
yeah.
it just seems strange to me. I don't know. I'd love to hear what the chat thinks on that one. So interesting.
I think there is a fear with it too, because you look at some of the coaches that we are going to be interviewing that we just interviewed, Davis Webb being one of those guys who was here in Buffalo as a practice squad quarterback for us, really good friends with Josh Allen. And, your comments sort of make me think of something that Ryan Fitzpatrick said on their podcast, the Fitz and Wit podcast, him saying that Josh needs to be held accountable. He needs a coach that's going to coach him hard.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think of all the candidates that we have interviewed, the best of both worlds, I know people aren't going to like this, but the best of both worlds, a guy that has been buddy-buddy with them, but also has gotten on his ass quite a bit, Brian Daboll, right?
Yeah. Agree. So there's another one where I think, he would change things up, obviously. I think for the good. He's got a great running game now. Of course, we need to sign a couple guys on that offensive line. Hopefully we're able to. Connor McGovern and David Edwards. Hopefully we're able to bring back that offensive line. And then whoever that head coach is going to have something great to work with. They already have Josh Allen. They have a great running back. They have that old line. Watch out.
Yeah.
So let's pivot to this next guy. This is probably the only defensive guy that I would have liked to have. And that is Lou Anarumo, defensive coordinator. He's been the defensive coordinator for the Colts, for the Bengals. Really, really good. If there was a DC coming in to take over, a defensive-minded guy, I wouldn't mind this dude. But he's been on the Bengals with Burrow and that great offensive team. So, what's your thoughts on Anarumo?
Yeah, I didn't mind this one whatsoever. I think this is one of the few guys that has had Josh Allen's number. I mean, throughout his career when they played against the Bengals in the past. When you look at Anarumo, I think he's very well respected. He's a vet in this league. The players that he's coached speak super highly of him. But, the philosophy of going with another defensive mind, I think would rub people the wrong way. And we might riot if we did something like that. Because not only are you getting a defensive-minded coach, you're getting an older guy too. And I think the trend right now is to go in a younger direction. And people want offensive minds, plain and simple. I think you got to switch it up.
All right. Then I put my name in the hat.
Oh, and, there it is.
I interviewed right before Philip Rivers. I put my name in the hat. I said, I've been with this organization for over 50 years. I've seen the worst of it, the best of it. Put my name in there. But, Pagula said, no, we're not bringing this old guy who now has to wear glasses. We're not bringing him on. It's even for an interview. So they said, let's bring in Philip Rivers, who's never coached before. I thought I had a good chance when this happened. I've never coached before. I'm older than Phil. I've been around longer. I've seen more.
Yeah.
Been through the heartbreak of those Super Bowl losses.
You're all Buffalo.
I'm all Buffalo. So we're bringing Philip Rivers. Philip Rivers goes in and he pulls his name out of the hat not that long after. But it was funny. I was talking to my friend just the day before this news broke. And because we actually liked the fact that Philip Rivers had come back, right? Good story. Plays for the Colts. Did pretty good. And we're like, can you imagine if Philip Rivers was interviewed? Sure enough, it happens the next day. It breaks that we're talking to Philip Rivers. What do you think happened here? Why would we entertain this, Jake?
Leave no stone unturned. I'm here for it. Listen, Philip Rivers, you talk about a football mind, and a guy that comes back at age 44, 5 years after he retires, looking like a freaking grandpa out there. He's got the dad bod going. He's got the flak jack on. But you saw the way this dude commanded at the line of scrimmage. It was so impressive. This dude's knowledge of the game is going to translate really well. And I definitely think he will be coaching in the future at some point here at the highest level. Then again, it sounds like he does want to spend a little bit more time with his family, maybe coach his kids instead of the NFL level. I do think, if he were to come and coach in the NFL right off the bat, probably best served to be a quarterback coach. I don't know if you could just promote this guy right the head coach. And that's something I really wouldn't mind. I'd be open to that idea. Bring him in as the quarterback coach, getting Josh's ear a little bit. They share the same agent. They both wear the same number. Yep. Unfortunately, their careers are kind of trending in a similar direction, and hopefully that changes real quick because Phil Rivers never got to a Super Bowl himself. So, hopefully for Josh, that's not the same case, but would love to have him as the quarterback's coach.
Yeah, I agree there. Again, when it happened, I was like, what the hell? What the hell is that? Let's just try to change it up completely. But the odds of that type of hire, why they even entertain it, I don't know. But if that odds are higher, it's the likelihood that you're going to actually get over the hurdle, no. Would have loved him in the press conference. Man, he would have been fantastic. Press conferences would have been funny. I don't know. He's got some fire in him, obviously.
Loves
of the best
ball.
Trash talkers in the game.
Yeah, and he doesn't swear at all. Like, there's no curse words at all. It's just dadgummit. That's the worst thing you're going to hear out of this guy's mouth. And he just mouths off whoever. I mean, big-ass defensive lineman. And sometimes I'm sure he paid for it, but that dude just loves football. And, yeah, it would have been a great listen for sure.
Go Bills podcast. Who do you think the Bills will hire as defensive coordinator? That's been a question that's been asked a few times, and I don't know. Go Bills podcast is just really dependent on who they hire as the coach, and then who that coach actually likes, right? Who they have relationships with, who they trust. Because if I'm a head coach, especially if I'm the first time head coach, I'm bringing some good people around me. I'm not sticking with the guys that I don't know very well. I'm bringing some really good some people that I fully trust.
Yeah.
I don't know, Jake, if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. And I think, again, with Steve, kind of what he said, I think especially if you're a new head coach and a young guy, you bring someone that has experience maybe with the team prior or as a, coordinator elsewhere. Matt Edwards, obviously not a coordinator, but he was in Buffalo as the assistant D-line coach. So he has familiarity with the team. So I think experience is absolutely huge, especially if you're a first-time head coach, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you, Steve. Great quarterback coach.
Point.
A great way to get him in, right? Get him into the, start getting them some experience coaching in the NFL. So, and I agree with you, Jake. I think you said you might, I see this happening at some point. I do see him getting in the coaching.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Let's see here. And then John Roberts says, I don't want Dable at any position. Why is that, John?
I understand it. But here's the thing, too, John. I mean, when he left us, this was the number one offense in football. I mean, number one in points, number one in yards per game. Josh Allen, multiple 4,000-yard passing seasons. So I think what he did from an offensive standpoint was super impressive. Give him a good running back. Maybe you go get a weapon on the outside. You still got Khalil Shakir, who's a very good slot receiver.
Yeah.
Great tight ends. Good offensive line. I don't know. It's a little bit different than what he had in New York. So I'm not totally writing it off. I understand why you don't probably want him just because you see the clips, him being a hothead and, there's a lot that goes into it. So I get it. I get it. And he's not my first choice either. I want to be upfront about that. He's not my first choice. My first choice is Clint Kubiak.
Yeah.
Do I think it's going to happen? I don't think so. I feel like they're going to make a decision sooner rather than later.
Yep. I agree. I mean, I like a fiery coach. I really do at times. I mean, Gruden was fiery. You want to talk about fiery?
Oh,
Gruden.
yeah.
Got himself a Super Bowl, though. But you know what? It was only Gruden's only Super Bowl. Something to be said about that as well. So the Bills move on from Phillip Rivers, and they bring on a person that Bills fans are familiar with, and that is defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver. He was the DC for Miami, was the defensive line coach for the Bills in 2013. What's your thoughts here? Here we go. Back to the DC side of things. And again, for me, it was Anarumo, who I would have taken. I would have been okay with. But what do you think about Anthony Weaver if, this whole
non-serious interview? I don't think that wouldn't even make sense whatsoever. I get it. He was here in 2013, sure. But look who he was under. You had a great defensive line to work with. Not impressed with what he did in Miami whatsoever. And I think he was the DC in Houston a few years ago too. Just not about that. Sorry. Okay. Bring him in as an assistant coach or, a D-line coach. I don't even think I'd want him as a DC. So no, thank you. Hard pass. Sorry.
So the Bills go back to the well again with their next candidate, another person that's familiar with Buffalo Bills. He was the previously assistant coach and running backs coach for the Bills from 2015 to 2016. And that was Anthony Lynn. And he was the Commanders' run game coordinator. That's interesting. I haven't heard of a run game coordinator. But what do you think about Anthony Lynn?
Again, it's a familiar face. I think he's got a very good offensive mind. So, I'm not about it as a head coach. We saw his tenure in LA where he had a lot of talent and he struggled to make big decisions in big moments. And yeah, I think it just caught up to him. And I think his time as a head coach has kind of written its course. To be honest with you, I don't see him as any more than a coordinator at this point. I don't think he's a head coach in the NFL. We've tried the experiment, and to me, I feel like this would be a downgrade if you did hire him as a head coach. And again, no disrespect. I respect the hell out of what these guys do. There's a reason why I'm talking on this microphone, and I'm not out there coaching myself, right? Those guys know ball way more than I do, even though I study it every night, and I love it so much. Like, could be there, but shoulda, coulda, woulda. But yeah, no, it's definitely not one of my top tier guys at all.
Yeah, and when you're thinking of these guys, I mean, I love the chat to chime in here. Do any of them so far that we talked about think they have enough to get us over that hurdle? I mean, for instance, I feel like nobody's going to get us over the hurdle unless Bean finally makes some good moves in the offseason and the draft. And I mean, we've talked about it. Everyone eats. We need a wide receiver one. We need a closer. We have not been able to get a closer. It just boggles my mind that we can't get a closer on defense.
Yeah.
Bosa started off the year pretty well. Thought, man, this dude, he's playing for a contract. He's got a 1-year deal. He wants to play. And he got off to a great start. But towards the end of the season, dude, he just was, I don't know if he was injured, didn't tell anyone because he wants to kind of put that behind him as well. Like, he's always been known as the guy who's always going to have injuries.
Yeah.
He did have an injury. I think he missed one game with us, but played for the most part the whole year. But towards the end of the year, dude, where was the pressure? Where was the pass rush? Unless we were blitzing, nobody was getting home. So unless they make some key moves, you know what? I don't know. They're not setting up this coach for much success. Like, Jake, they got to make some moves. I do not think anyone we're talking about right now comes in with the current roster. Of course, that roster is going to change because there's contracts that have to be worked out, and some people may be too expensive and move on. Connor McGovern's one of those key guys. I don't know if we're going to be able to pay him, right? Because we would have extended him already. So that's going to be an interesting conversation. But yeah, think about these guys as any of them we talked about going to get you over the hurdle. I don't know. Again, I'm going back to say this for all those who wanted Sean McDermott fired. I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I'll be the first one to say, dang, you guys nailed it. We got to the Super Bowl next year. And I know Pagula said, yeah, no, we're not going to put the pressure on this coach first year to get to the Super Bowl. But Bills Mafia, you can't waste any more years of
unfair amount of pressure, to be honest with you.
What's that?
It's an unfair amount of pressure for a first-year head coach or potential first-year head coach. First-time head coach in Buffalo, at least, right?
Yep. Let's go back here. And then, so Go Bills podcast. We're about to talk about Udinsky here in a little bit. Give me a second. And then Steve says, praying that we not get a report that the Ryan brothers were spotted near Duff's on a bicycle built for two.
I love it. I hope not either, Steve.
No Brady for OC, says Big Al. No Brady for OC.
Yeah, I'm with you. I can understand it, Brett, because obviously, continuity, building rapport. I don't think Brady would like that very much. You have this 30-year-old head coach who's never coached in the NFL before at this high of a level, who's a one-time offensive coordinator, overseeing your duties as a, how many years? Now, year 3 of you being the OC for this team? I feel like Brady would probably move on.
Yeah. Yeah, so then the Bills pivot to the Jags OC, Grant Udinsky. Does he say Udinsky or is it Udinsky? I don't know. Udinsky sounds about right.
Yep.
Jags OC, let's see, 2025 marked his first season as the Jags OC. Prior to that, he spent 3 seasons with Minnesota Vikings as the offensive assistant. Udinsky began his NFL coaching career with the Panthers in 2020-21 as an assistant, briefly overlapping Joe Brady. Interesting. So what's your thoughts on Grant here? I mean, obviously, I thought the Jaguars had a great year. I thought, they kind of, with Trevor Lawrence, I felt like he had I don't want to say a breakout year, but he had a down year last year. came out. They really had a good year this year, and so a lot of that goes to Adinsky. But what's your thoughts on him? Here's an OC minded guy.
Yeah.
I'm not excited about it, but maybe because I just don't know a lot about him other than the fact that we beat him in the playoffs. But what's your thoughts on him here?
Let me talk to you about this kid a little bit,
All
Mike.
right, all
okay, because I knew a little bit about him, but I didn't know how pivotal he really was. First off, in Minnesota. So this is a quote from the Minnesota Star Tribune, and this is what they noted. This was his role in Minnesota. Not only was he, essentially, I think his initial duties included providing advanced scouting reports on opponents, helping them with various tasks, and then understanding. Basically, he called the assistant quarterback's coach. But then they said his unofficial roles included mentor to quarterbacks J.J. McCarthy and Sam Darnold, pass rusher or receiver for Sam Darnold, advanced scout and practice lieutenant for offense coordinator Wes Phillips, compliment to quarterback coach Josh McCown, crazy Grant to O'Connell's kids, confidant, protege, and occasional comedic target for O'Connell. Absolutely love that. This guy is all ball. And what they said about him, how highly Kevin O'Connell spoke about him, he was pivotal to how successful Minnesota's offense was from 2022 to 2024. So while his official, title wasn't offensive coordinator, he kind of acted as that and then some. He did everything in his power to help that offense be as elite as it was. So it's a very, very intriguing name. This kid started off as a walk-on at Towson. Actually, he was at Davidson first. Then he transferred to Towson, was a defensive end there. Super high GPA, 4.0. Then he graduates. He goes to Baylor, becomes a GA there. Kid's sleeping in his freaking car in Walmart parking lots until he finally moves in with their DC Phil Snow. And he ends up, staying with Matt Rule's staff. He goes from there to Carolina as a coaching assistant. And then he goes to Minnesota after that. So this dude has really moved up the ranks at a very fast pace. Obviously being the OC for Jacksonville this past year. And a lot of people say Liam Cohen had a ton of influence on that offense. Well, I'm one to believe that Udinsky had a ton of influence on that offense, maybe even more so than Cohen. I think this dude's a brilliant mind. I've heard him speak about ball. The dude loves it. And I get it. That only goes so far. But if you want to swing for the fences, you want to take a chance, you want to do something, out of the box, this would be my guy 100%. So I love it. It's starting to win me over a little bit more. If we can't get Kubiak, this would probably be my next vote.
Damn, Jake, you sold me. I mean, fantastic.
30 years old too, Mike. 30 years old. He's a young buck.
You sold me. I mean, let's go.
And I want to say this. You talk about like guys that get to a Super Bowl within their first few years at a young age. Sean McVay hired at 30 years old, goes to the Super Bowl at 33. Mike Tomlin, I think he was 33 himself, goes to a Super Bowl. John Gruden, young coach, in his mid-30s, high 30s or something like that, first year head coach, goes to a Super Bowl. So there is a pattern of these younger coaches having immediate success. This is a guy that can really change things around. I firmly believe that.
All right. I like it. And Steve says, after further research and maybe hearing what Jake had to say, this is my guy.
Love that. Love that.
He will bring in Josh McCown as OC and Matt Edwards as DC.
Oh, I didn't even think of Josh McCown, Steve. That fires me up. Listen, I am a huge fan of Josh McCown. You talk about just a great guy, just your type of quarterback. He goes up in the ranks of like the Fitzies and the Josh Johnsons and the journeyman quarterbacks that have been in this league that just freaking love the game and have these great offensive minds. Josh McCown is a great coach himself. I think he'd be a great fit as the OC if we were to bring Udinsky in. Love that, Steve. Yes.
Nice. And then let's see here. John Roberts said, we were talking about Rousseau. Had the most sacks. Not impressed about how many sacks. I don't know if you're asking me that question. He only had 7 sacks, so I wasn't impressed. I love Rousseau. He's a great all-around guy, but he's not that guy that you can count on to, get that sack. He hasn't shown me in years like he can be the closer. We're missing a closer, and they better get it. So we'll see. We'll see if they make some moves this year. We'll have to look at the free agents and see who's out there in free agency. But we've swung in this now with Von Miller, Joey Bosa, our draft stock. I mean, hasn't really shown up on the what was it? Javon Solomon. Javon Solomon to me, Jake, man, 2 years now. I don't
Good
know.
special teams guy.
I'll make okay. Third year.
He's a 5th-round pick, Mike. What do you expect? I mean,
third year. I don't know. I mean, you had high hopes of him when we were drafting him. He was like
a lot of sacks in
high on your
college.
list, my friend, if you
He
remember.
was. Yeah. Oh, I remember. Yeah. They're still high on my list. I still believe in him.
We'll still believe in him. He's just 2 years. We'll use what Pagula said about Coleman or what Brandon Bean. This is 2 years with this guy. He's still young. We still believe in him.
Yep.
John Roberts says both Udinsky and Kubiak are friends with Sam Darnold, who is friends with Josh Allen.
Yeah, and let me give my pitch for Kubiak, or maybe I'll wait until we get to him because we haven't actually gotten to him just yet, right?
Right.
So maybe I'll wait.
Talk to him, so he'll be on the list after.
Well, you're right. I'll give my pitch for him in a minute, but yes, yeah, that's a very good point, John. And by the way, what Steve says too, yeah, he's the quarterback, Josh McCown, quarterback coach in Minnesota right now. Been in Minnesota for a few years now. This is a dude that brings credibility to the table. This is a dude that's obviously has coaching experience now and really good offensive mind. Yeah, would love that. That'd be fun.
All right. And then the Bills move on from Udinsky, and not move on, but they now bring in pass game coordinator and quarterback coach Davis Webb. We're familiar with Davis Webb, right? Yep. On the Bills. Former QB is familiar with Bills because he played from the Bills from 2019 to 2021, where he was in the same position room as Bills quarterback Josh Allen. What's your thoughts here on Mr. Davis Webb, sir?
It's another intriguing one. I'm not as sold on him as I am in Udinsky. I just feel like, and I don't know why. I don't know why that is. I can't put my finger on it. I think it's just a matter of, I think I like the story better with Udinsky, so maybe I'm a little biased there. Webb is also intriguing though too. I mean, Sean Payton called him brilliant. Like, this is a dude that's been coached underneath him and really has progressed in the ranks quite a bit himself. I mean, to me, I think, him being quarterback's coach right now, it's definitely a big jump from quarterback's coach to head coach. So I think you like to see a coordinator to head coach switch as compared to a quarterback's coach to head coach switch. Not saying it hasn't happened in the past. Crazier things have happened. Freaking Jeff Saturday got a head coaching job midway through the season with the Colts, if you remember. So I'm not saying it can't be a successful thing, but I think I'd much rather see him as an OC as compared to a head coach right off the bat.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then finally, our last candidate so far that we're aware of is Rams pass game coordinator Nate Shieldhaus. I'm not sure if I'm saying that name right. LA Rams pass coordinator. Let's see here. And that brings our total to 9 candidates. And he's been on the Rams coaching staff since 2024. Yep. And since then, the Rams ranked 3rd in passing yards per game, 5th in points per game, 6th in EPA per pass play, and 3rd in passing success rate. Your thoughts on Nate? I mean, obviously, I don't know how much of this is him because they have a great offensive-minded head coach as well. But your thoughts here?
I think, coming from the McVay tree, it's impressive, obviously. He's a younger candidate again, 35 years old, played at Illinois. I don't know if you remember those Illinois teams back in the day. He was the backup for Juice Williams. What a freaking team they had. Juice Williams, A.J. Jenkins, Michael LaShore. I mean, they were ranked. They were awesome. And then he took over for him. I think he was all Big Ten there as a quarterback. Didn't actually go in the pros. I think he was undrafted, had some workouts and whatnot. Then he went right into coaching, went into operations at Illinois. And then he was in college for the longest time, Mike. He just came to the NFL in 2024. He was with Iowa State for the longest time as a run game coordinator, did a lot there. He was a receivers coach, I think, as well, running backs coach. He comes to the Rams as an offensive assistant and passing game specialist. Now he's a passing game coordinator. So to me, again, this is a situation where, going from that title to head coach is such a big jump. I'm not saying it can't be done. I just think when you're making that transition, I think coordinator to head coach is just a much better transition, if that makes sense. Just more responsibilities, better title, obviously. But then again, you think of what these assistant coaches do, and oftentimes these guys have to work way harder than these coordinators. They got to be out there putting their neck on the line because you never know when you're going to be without a job, and you got to do everything in your power to move up those ranks. So I'm not totally against it. I think the guys, got a bright future, but definitely not my first choice.
Yeah. So with those 9 candidates that the Bills have brought in, you want to speak to Kubiak first, and then I'll
I
ask you
do.
some additional questions. Go ahead, speak about Kubiak.
My pitch for Kubiak. I don't know if you watched the game last night, but God, that dude put on an absolute clinic against a pretty damn good young defense in the LA Rams.
Yeah.
Some of those play calls were outstanding. That touchdown to JSN was absolutely incredible. A lot of trickery with the eyes, pre-snap motion, meaningful pre-snap motion, which is something we don't often see here in Buffalo. No shots to Joe Brady. Couple shots they're thrown, I guess, if you will. But damn, like it's just super impressive to me. Comes from a football family. His dad, Gary Kubiak, one of those first-year head coaches who won a Super Bowl with his team. Obviously, has Peyton Manning as the quarterback, but wouldn't that be cool to go from Peyton Manning winning as a Super Bowl head coach, and then you have your son win with Josh Allen? Great story, right? Another thing though with Kubiak, he was the OC in Minnesota a few years back. Common theme with the Minnesota Vikings having these really good, successful offensive minds. He coached Dalvin Cook while he was there in Minnesota, Mike. We have James Cook, his younger brother. So obviously there's some chemistry there, I'm sure. I'm sure he knows of James Cook. There might be some familiarity. I think what Kubiak has done, he's been in the league for quite some time. He's had a lot of success as the OC. When he was with Minnesota in 2021, he had a 4,000-yard passer. Kirk Cousins threw for over 4,000 yards, 33 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions. He had a nearly 1,200-yard rusher in Dalvin Cook. He had a 1,600-yard receiver in Justin Jefferson, 10 touchdowns. He had Adam Thielen with 10 touchdowns as well. That offense was firing on all cylinders. Yeah, they had an 8-9 season, but their head coach was, I'm trying to think. Goodness. Drawing a blank.
That's all right.
They went 8-9 that year. Anyways, he got fired. And it'll come to me in a second. I just can't think of it off the top of my head. I got too much other stuff going on. Nonetheless, I think he is able to manage some really incredible talent in a good way. I think if we do go ahead and get him, you go get him an outside receiver. It's been proven that he knows how to utilize his weapons. As you can see, what he's done with Seattle. Sam Darnold, the 4,000-yard passer, JSN, 1,800 yards receiving, a great running game with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, the touchdown vulture. You got Cooper Kupp as well. Some solid tight ends. It's super impressive to me. And I get it. You look at his tenure in New Orleans, but then again, he doesn't have a ton of talent to work with in New Orleans, but I still think he made the most of his time there. He kind of fits the bill as that young mold. He's 38 years old, Mike. Obviously, football family and just a ton of knowledge of the game and has the credibility as an offensive coordinator in multiple places. So to me, it makes the most sense. So there's my pitch. Click Kubiak. Go get him.
But they have to wait until, what do we got, a 2-week layover to the Super Bowl, right? Yep. So we're looking at, February? We're looking at here.
Yeah.
If we're looking at around February
9th, that would be.
Yeah, before they could talk to him.
And you're right. You're right, Steve. I think Derek Carr, he was playing pretty well. They were 5-5 with them. Over 2,000 yards passing, 15 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. Guy had over 100 rating. He was doing some good things there. Kind of a revitalization with Kubiak as the OC.
Yeah, to me about the Kubiak situation is, he's got great weapons. You can say Sam Darnold is not, but I think Sam Darnold proved himself in Minnesota, and everyone thought that might have been a 1-year fluke, but here he is, come back and has another great year. I don't know. There's something to be said about having talent around you that makes you look better. Again, if he comes here, I'm cool with that. He would be my pick as well, only because of his, his dad and then him and what he's done there. But are we going to wait? I don't know. It'll be interesting. If the Bills don't make a move this week, which somebody said, I don't know who said it. I don't know if the source was real, was a good source, but I'm hearing this week they're making a decision. If they don't,
I've heard Wednesday is the potential decision day. So in 2 days, we might know.
If it makes it past Wednesday, Jake, let me ask you this. Do you think, how risky would it be? I don't know. Maybe there's friends that the Bills have that are friends with Kubiak, and they can have a roundabout conversation without anyone knowing. You got to feel like something like that could potentially happen. I would think. And what you getting? All right. And then what's your penalty? If you happen to have a conversation with this guy, what's the penalty? I don't know. If you get this guy as your head coach and you're going to pay the penalty, I don't know what it is. Do you know? By any chance, does anyone know if the Bills were found talking to the Kubiak?
Might be a loss of a draft pick.
What's the penalty? You think it's that severe?
I do. It's like tampering, basically. So yeah, I think
You
it would
think it's
fall
like,
under that.
well, if it's one of our last picks, I'm okay with it. If it's
Yeah,
one of our
right.
top picks.
Watch it be a second rounder or something
Oh,
with
yeah.
our luck, right? Yeah.
I'd be curious. But
By the way, I'm making
Yeah.
that curse video this year. I don't care. I'm doing it. I know I've been saying
I
it for
know,
years,
I
but I'm like,
know.
we're going to break that curse. It's not going to even have to happen. I'm
We have
making it
to.
this year. I'm doing it. And by the way, it was Mike Zimmer. I couldn't think of it. It was on the
Okay.
tip of my tongue. Mike Zimmer was the head coach when Clint Kubiak was his OC. So didn't really work out there in Minnesota. Defensive-minded head coach, bringing an offensive-minded guy, right?
Yes. So how about it for a new coach, Jake? I mean, new coach, new stadium. Maybe the curse is broken. Leave the curse in Highmark. Leave it.
Yeah.
The Ralph. Let's bury it.
For what it's worth, too, Jeremy White from WGR has a source that he spoke with who had said basically McDermott was going to be fired. The same guy that said McDermott was going to be fired confirmed that the Buffalo Bills were going to hold out and go and hire Clint Kubiak. So take that with a grain of salt. Take that however it may. I am not an insider. I hate when people try to pretend to be insiders. I'm just hearing this from a source of a source, whatever. I'm putting it out in the universe. We're talking about possibilities as head coaches, so I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know anything. I don't know shit. So there we go.
I think you do know more than
I know a lot, but you know
the nine candidates that we've had. If you're worried about them not being there in 2 weeks, I feel like most of them would be there. I do.
Yeah.
You did say there's 3 other teams looking at candidates. Maybe a couple of these folks are snagged. So I don't know. To me, it's worth the wait.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it's worth the wait. But all right, so Kubiak's your top guy. Let's go down. Give me your top 3. Kubiak, I think you want Udinsky.
Yep.
And who's after Udinsky?
I'd have to say Dayball.
Dayball.
I know. And it's not a sexy answer. People probably hate it.
I don't mind that one. Honestly, I don't mind that one.
Yeah.
Like I said, we know he'll hold Josh accountable. We know he's got a good offensive mind. I'd be interested to know who we might bring in. If it was Dayball, who would you bring in as the OC and the DC?
I think Davis Webb would be the OC in that case, Mike.
Okay.
It's not a lateral move for him. You know, it would be a promotion essentially, right? He goes from quarterback's coach to offensive coordinator and a chance to work with his best friend and Josh Allen. I mean, that's a no-brainer to me. And by the way, another pitch for Clint Kubiak. His whole career as an OC and really as a passing game coordinator wherever he's been, basically has had a pocket passer. He hasn't had a Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sammy D can move a little bit, don't get me wrong, but he ain't Josh Allen moving. And I know Josh got a little bit slower this year, and right, people are talking about that a little bit, but you don't have a guy like Josh Allen. What he could probably do with Josh, man, take him to the moon. It would be incredible.
You talk about Sammy D. I mean, he did make some nice throws on the run yesterday. So
sure did. He can move. I love this. Yeah, Victor.
Play calling against the Patriots in the Super Bowl is an interview in itself. Yeah.
And I think that alone, that's why you hold out. And already, Mike, Grant Udinsky basically removed himself from the head coaching candidacy for the Browns as it is. So there's only 2 other teams that could potentially make a move. That's the Raiders or the Cardinals. Or he just stays in Jacksonville.
Or the Bills have told him.
Right. And actually, it is interesting because there was a report that came out that said the Jags have actually increased his pay for this year if he did come back to be the OC. So it's kind of a win-win for him to hold out.
Yeah.
Just to see what the best offer would be.
Yep. John he says anybody but anybody but Dayball.
So John, tell me why you don't want Dayball.
Yeah.
Like what is the main reason? Is it because his tenure in New York? And I'm not trying to defend the guy or anything. I'm actually just curious. I just want to know like what your reasoning is for it.
So all right, so we gave you our top 3, and I agree with you, Jake. I'm going to go with pretty much the same 3. The only one, like I said, that I would have went the older coach was Anarumo, and why?
Yeah,
like he would change this defense up. This defense would not be the defense that you've been seeing under McDermott. It would be definitely much more aggressive defense. That's something that has to change. You know, we put up 30 points on Denver. You put up 30 points, you should win a game, even with 4 turnovers. 5 turnovers. You should win a game, and we weren't able to. The defense allowed 33. So in any case, that's the only other guy I would have thought of. I might even say, would I put him over Rumo?
You know, he kind of looks a little bit like Mike Thornton. I got to be honest with you.
A little bit, maybe. Yeah.
I was just thinking in my head, I'm like, Mike, you kind of look alike.
Does he wear glasses at all? I don't know. Let's see.
I think he does. He's got those readers. He wears them. You got to wear them low on your nose, though, when you're wearing the readers.
There you go, like that.
And I'm sorry, I probably just messed up the screen again, but
no, you're good.
I had to show you that because I'm like, you know what? There's a resemblance there. There's a little bit there. I can see it.
So I would have liked him again. So he would probably be my. I don't know. I'd put him right there with Dable. So I'd put him right there at 3 with Dable.
Yeah.
Of the candidates we've talked to. So it'll be interesting. The further we go into this week, the deeper we go into this week, the possibility that they're holding out for Kubiak. And again, man, I don't know. I would pull some Patriot shady stuff and figure out a way to go talk to Clint.
I love that. I love it. Why not, right? What's the worst that's going to happen? Right?
I just randomly happened to be where he happens to be. I don't know. I ran into him. I didn't mean to have a conversation. How you doing, Clint? You know, the Bills job's available. What's your thoughts there, buddy?
Right. Yeah. Seriously.
Oh, man. That's too funny.
All right. Here we go. This is John Roberts' reasoning. Yeah. All right. John, listen, I love it. Longtime viewer John Roberts. Shout out to you.
Yes, love John.
Young man. I'm calling you young man. I don't know how old you are, John, but we appreciate the hell out of you. He sucks, and he proved with the Giants he can't coach, and I heard his locker room presence sucks. Yeah, I have heard some stories that he really has a hard time. I mean, Dean Pease will never work with Brian Dable again. That was his DC. Or was it Wink Martindale? Wink Martindale, not Dean Pease, right? Yeah, Wink Martindale. They had a falling out big time. So I have heard that.
Wasn't Wink Martindale some show host? I believe there was a Martindale.
You might be right. Yeah,
I agree. He was. You're right. He was. But I'm just saying there was also, I think, a Wink Martindale who hosted a television show, game show. I think.
You might be right, Mike.
I might be wrong with the first name, and then
actually, yeah, you're right. Winston Conrad Wink Martindale. He actually just died like last year, Mike. Crazy. He was let's see. Tic-Tac-Toe, High Rollers.
There you go.
And Debt. How about that?
Yep. So not the same Wink Martindale, I'm sure.
No, not the same. No, this is the TV persona, like you said.
Yeah. So Steve, so when I hear that name, that's what I think of. That's how old I am. Steve, I do not want Dable or Brady because if you are getting rid of McD, you are bringing back skeletons of the McDermott era. We need a totally clean slate.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can understand that, Steve. I will say this. I mean, I had seen some, I think it was Cole Beasley himself. Yeah, he basically spoke very highly of Daboll. And listen, I know Beasley had his moments here in Buffalo too, kind of lashing out towards some fans and media and everything. But from what I've heard from his time in Buffalo, a lot of the players did speak highly of him. So there is that. But you're right. That's a good point too. It's like, you fire McDermott, remove everything affiliated with him. So that would also mean Joe Brady, right? So let's rule both of those guys out right now.
Yep. All right. Look at it. I'm looking how sad I'm sad because underneath us it says, "Welcome to the show, Bills Talk, all the way to the Super Bowl."
I know.
This was the year.
This was
the year. That's why it took us over a week to kind of get back on the screen. We apologize. Like I said earlier in the show, I was devastated. Jake was. You would think I'd be able to deal with it, but like I said when I kicked off the show, the older I get in life, on the downhill of life, it's starting to be frustrating when they lose. I'm like, my goodness, can I get a chance to see a Super Bowl victory? I don't want to see them just get there. I've seen that before. I need us to get a Super Bowl. And again, I'm going to go back to Jake. All these great candidates, some good ones that we talked about. It's like throwing a dart. I mean, it's like rolling the dice, whether they're going to be able to get us. Like, what's your expectation for any coach that takes over for the Bills this year? What's your expectation for this team?
I mean, it's got to be Super Bowl or bust. It has to be.
Super Bowl or bust. And
again, it's not fair.
It isn't fair. It isn't fair. And I don't think I don't think they're going to fire any coach 1 year. Now, unless this guy comes in and they just tank.
Oh, yeah.
But if that happens, Pagula and Bean are just going to look horrible because now Bean's going to have even more people wanting him out of town because probably if that happens, if that did happen, he probably didn't make any good moves again.
Right. I have heard some different perspectives on that too, Mike, because, people talk about now the fact that Bean is kind of backed into this corner, even though he essentially was promoted. He was promoted. This gives him a real opportunity to go out there and make some crazy moves and hopefully for the better, Go get a Justin Jefferson. Come on. Let's make it happen. Trade your 2 first-rounders. One this year, one next year, maybe even a second-rounder next year. I don't care. Do whatever it takes. I want to see this team with no draft capital in 2030. None.
I would love that.
And 2 Super Bowl rings.
We've talked about that, years now. We've been doing this show for almost 5 years. Yeah. Or like, man, I would love for them to sell out. Go for it.
Yeah.
And it didn't take the Rams much time to get back into the playoffs and be a contender again. Let's do it.
No one Bean's history drafts better in the later rounds anyways. We'll probably find a gem in the 5th round in the next few years. With that being said, regardless.
There's something to be said, though. Let's say he does make these crazy moves, finally, and then get it over the hump. You're going to, there's going to be people like me saying, McDermott would have gotten there with this roster. You give him this talent, he would have made it happen. Do you think, so going back to Pagula's and the press conference, I fired Sean because we hit the proverbial wall and what I saw in the locker room after the game.
Yeah.
I think that's just bogus, first of all. You saw a bunch of guys that just laid it on the line and were sad. Again, I mean, my goodness, they're always sad when they lose a game, right? I mean, if you're that competitive, you're that passionate about what you do, and you have a good team, it's got to be heartbreaking. So what he saw there is, I don't think is any reflection on the fact, this is because of McDermott. They're acting like this. And who knows? They might have had some inkling. They might have that this was McDermott's, he was going to be gone. I don't know if they had some insight. You would have to think McDermott, I don't know. Does he have a chance to speak to the team when he's fired? Probably not, right?
No, I think that's it. I mean, he may send some texts or whatever, but I think that's about it, Mike. I mean, once he's out the door, he's out the door. And at that point, it's, all personal communication, I guess. So maybe some text exchanges, something like that. But now he's not talking to them as a team.
I saw Dawson Knox on some podcast, and he was like,
"Yeah,
I thought this was fake news when I first, first heard it." Right? He had nothing but good things to say about McDermott, and I have to feel like majority of that team. Now I know there was something, it's that crazy stuff that came out. Jerry Hughes saying something about McDermott. What did you remember what that was?
Let me pull it up. It's it's an interesting take. Some fans were engaging with him on Twitter. He had kind of gone off a little bit after the Broncos game, and let's see here. I think I have the whole thread. I can find it. Yeah, here it is. I'll show you. Shout out to JPA football. I'm going to show this whole thread. It is interesting, to say the least. So you look at the thread here, and pretty much Jerry goes on to say that they asked him, "Why'd you leave us for the Texans? Let me find out." Bean's dumbass was lone balling, and he says, "Once Sean screwed up the 13 seconds with his calls, prevent defense on every single play, I knew he wasn't serious." So that is that's how that went. So Jerry Hughes.
Was
calling out the
with the Bills in the 13 seconds?
He was. 2021 was his last year here in Buffalo, and definitely left on a sour note, unfortunately.
Well, dude, Jerry Hughes was always, early in his career with the Bills, loved him, but end of the year or end of his career, always saw Jerry Hughes running down, trying to catch the quarterback.
Most pressures.
What's that?
Most pressures, but never got home, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Really good player, though. Shout out Jerry.
I don't know how much there's always, look, you're coach, you're not going to have everyone like you. Even if you're a boss, you're not going to have everyone like you, right? That's your job.
Yeah.
But I have to believe that most people believe that most of those players love Sean McDermott.
Absolutely. You talk about the Knox interview. He was with Mitch Morse. Mitch Morse.
Yeah, that's right.
recollected a lot, talked about his experience with McDermott, talked about how he was like going through some anxiety and stuff, and how McDermott like checked up on him as a person more than a football player. And I think that just speaks to him. Like the culture that he built was real. Like there's a reason why we were able to kind of keep a cohesive and consistent roster. And there's a reason why guys would return to come back to Buffalo. A lot of people say, oh, it's because they were able to get playing time here and nowhere else. Sure. But also I think there's a reason you come back to Buffalo of all places, right?
Yeah. So this is a good point by Steve. So another reason why I felt there's no way they're going to fire McDermott. I thought he had a, with this roster, they were giving all the credit to Bean for this roster being so good. And that's why we've been successful. No credit to McDermott at all. And I said, Pagula hasn't let the Sabre team just go for the longest period of time, didn't make any moves. Finally fires Kevin Adams, the GM, by the way, the coach. I know the coach was replaced by Lindy Ruff. How many years ago did they make the move to bring Ruff back in? Just a couple of years ago, right?
2-3 years ago. Yeah.
It wasn't that long. But they let Kevin Adams stay forever. They finally get rid of this dude. And look at this team. It is weird to me. Usually it's not they didn't really make a ton of moves after the new hiring of the GM, but they've turned it around and now they're in playoff contention. Yeah. So if you go this route, why are you not firing your GM? It doesn't make no sense.
I know.
I really didn't think he was going to make any moves based on what he had done with the Sabres. But the fact that he fired the GM there, you're thinking, it's got to be the GM who's going to go if anybody. But nope. How do you think that? I don't know. Do you? I just don't know how he made that choice. They asked him, how weird is that to be Brandon Bean next to Bagula while interviewers are asking, what made you make the choice between Bean? It's got to be awkward for Bean sitting there, right?
You ain't kidding. It reminded me of like Michael Scott and Jim Halpert in The Office. Just Michael just shooting his mouth off and saying the most cringeworthy things, and Jim just cringing. Like that's what it felt like, And I think Bean was actually a little caught off guard with the McDermott firing. I don't think he really knew. A lot of people felt like maybe he was a backstabber and he was part of this decision. I think Terry just did it himself and said, I'm done. We're firing him, and that's that. And probably just let Bean know, and Bean had to take it in just like all the rest of us. And you could say, there's probably some disagreements in philosophy and everything, but yeah.
I do think it's weird because they brought this up as well, that there was, I don't know how many weeks back, and by the way, I see out there, Ryan, we'll get to your question there real quick. But, there was rumors that McDermott shared his, disapproval of this roster.
Yeah.
Like I heard, I don't know how, I had to believe if that was a big deal, it had to be around the trade deadline, I would think. I don't know how far back they said that this conversation happened, but for it to bother either Pagula or Bean, I feel like it would have had to happen right around that trade deadline. I don't know when it happened, but you would think like that would upset me, right? If the trade deadline came and our best, we didn't make really. Did we make any moves at the trade deadline? I don't think so. Right? Nope. We picked up Brandon Cook off of waivers, and he turned out to be our best receiver going into the playoffs. I was the head coach, and I was like, and again, we don't know, but if I wanted some move to happen, they kept talking about Jacoby Myers, and I think McDermott brought that up. There was a couple questions.
He made sure to talk about Jacoby Myers.
So you had to think it had to happen after that. And I'd be like, dude, we made no moves, right? Yeah. You didn't give me anybody like Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers would have been a good pick for us. We didn't get him. Yeah. So I don't know. And then they were like, that started the downfall of things. And Pagula saying, we always disagree. And I get it. That's true. I would expect those guys to not always be happy with each other's decisions. They should have conversations around it. But I don't know. I don't know how much to put into that. But, you heard that rumor. You heard somebody ask Pagula about it. You kind of sidestepped that one other than just saying, yeah, we always disagree. I was noticed my decision came based on what I saw in that locker room after the loss.
I think that's a load of BS. Part of me almost does feel like maybe he's falling on the sword for Josh. Maybe him and Josh had a conversation about this, and it was a real conversation about whether McDermott was going to go or whatever, and like kind of what his decision was going to be for the future. There could have been a real reason for that. Like My boy Reggie, who's been on the show, made a
Yeah.
good point. And I want to read his text because it's kind of interesting. It's another
All right.
perspective. I love hearing other people's perspectives on
Yep.
this. And, you know, maybe it doesn't mean anything, but I like hearing this take. I gotta find this here. Okay. So he said, I think that Terry and Josh have a relationship and they talk and they met, and the fact that he didn't acknowledge, or that Josh didn't acknowledge Terry was, you know, not only crying and disappointment, he had to make a decision. Terry doesn't have a son. His wife is very sick. He looks like a compassionate guy, self-made billionaire, may not know how to manage a football team, but maybe Josh wanted to change, and Terry's falling on the sword to protect Josh's image. He said, I think what he meant when he said acknowledgement, a lot of people took it the wrong way, and so did he. The Bills fans have to remember you can dwell on the past, but it's about moving forward. I'm like, you know, that's a really good perspective. I mean, that could very well be, and who knows? We'll never probably find out the answer to that. But it's interesting, you know, maybe that's
interesting. And I guess there's some weight to it based on the fact that they're having Josh Allen part of this process.
Yeah.
To hire a head coach. I don't know. I have to believe that Josh Allen was a fan of McDermott. And
yeah,
I have a hard time believing that he would say, if they did talk to Josh, it would have been quick. Hey, Josh, after his loss, they give him a call. What do you think we're about? We're about to release McDermott. What's your thoughts? I have a hard time thinking he'd say anything negative at that point.
Agree.
He's not that type of guy.
No.
Josh will blame himself. And I remember Dawkins, after Dawkins was told that Josh Allen had went out in the press, was in tears blaming himself. And Dawkins teared up and was like, he's not to blame for this, right? There was a lot of people, even Brandon Cooks was getting emotional. And he only been with the team for like 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Crazy. I'm
all about bringing him back, by the way. I would love to bring Brandon Cooks. I would love to bring Brandon.
Oh, yeah,
Brandon
absolutely.
Back.
Let's sign him. Let's sign him. We want to answer Ryan's question, because we did talk about this, and give him your top 3.
Well, my top candidate is Clint Kubiak. My second would be Grant Udinski. My third, a lot of people don't love this, but it's Brian Daboll. And I hope it doesn't get to that point, because I really want the first two. I think, you go young, you go offensive mind. And as you can see, my 3 candidates are offensive minds. It's a tough year right now to be in the market for a new head coach. And unfortunately, this head coach is going to be on the hot seat. And it's essentially a Super Bowl or bust year, because you fired a guy that's basically just barely missed it, and it's got to be money. Like, it has to be the right hire. And I think the Bills are going to, I know there's reports saying Wednesday they're going to make the move, but to me, I think you wait it out. I hope they wait to interview Kubiak, because I think it just makes too much sense.
Yeah, what I worry about with Bean is, let's say they do interview Kubiak. Is Bean going to want too much control? Is he not going to relinquish? Like, if I'm coming in as Kubiak, I say, I want my guys here. I want this guy. I want X amount of money. And you said Bean, it's always about money. It's going to be on the cheap end of things. I don't know. I worry a little bit about that, because he's been promoted now. And maybe Bean wants more control than he's, than this coach that he's potentially going to bring on or interview him. I worry about that to some degree.
Yeah, I do too. And the Kubiak thing is also interesting too, Mike, because you talk about bringing in your own guys. Well, one of the guys on Seattle's staff right now, I think, is the assistant DC, Leslie Frazier. So there's a real possibility, if he's allowed to bring in his own guys, that maybe he becomes the DC.
I don't know if I'd mind that. I mean, honestly, I don't know. Frazier, there's always been conversations like it was McDermott always pulling the strings, right? So
right.
I don't know. I respect Leslie Frazier. So if Kubiak is our coach and feels like he's the guy, you got to trust it.
Yeah.
Got to trust it. Why would you not? Yeah, Steve, bringing Coleman up the way he did in the press conference was totally unprofessional. And then he tried to backtrack towards the end of the conference, at the end of the press conference. Like, they both said, "Oh, he's just a second-year guy. We still have all the faith in the world in him." And but it's just a bad look. It's a bad look. Now, don't get me wrong. Let me just say this. So I did listen to the full press conference, and I just felt like, it was handled wrong. But I think people took it to the extreme. They took clips out of that. For those that watched the whole thing, maybe agree or disagree. I felt they took clips and over exaggerated some things. Let's face it, Kean Coleman has been hearing this from the fans since he's been here. Right. Now, it's one thing to hear it from the fans and then your actual owner and your GM. Don't get me wrong. That's absolutely horrible. Got to do a better job there. But Coleman kind of brought this attention on himself with getting inactivated for 4 or 5 weeks, having problems making it to meetings on time or showing up on time. So he brought some of this attention to himself. And then obviously the play on the field hasn't been where we wanted it to be. But so I don't know. I mean, I felt like the press conference, like I said, bad with the Coleman conversation, but Coleman also brought this upon himself in some ways.
Absolutely. Yeah. Eric Wood made a very good point about that too. I mean, he said they mentioned him that one time. Yeah, sure. You can call it what it is.
Yeah.
But then again, if you can't show up on time and give like consistent effort and you're a healthy scratch for these 4 games, I mean, listen, this is the NFL, brother. You're getting paid millions of dollars. Like, us as fans are essentially paying for your contract. I mean, we're part of it. Like, there's a reason why you're taking some backlash. Maybe this lights a fire under them. I really hope it does. But yeah, it was tough though. It was tough to listen to. It was very cringeworthy for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And Bean was always, Bean's look on his face sometimes was just, he was surprised. He's in the middle of answering something. Pakula jumps back in. Again, talking about Coleman, he's like, look, Coleman wasn't Bean's first choice. He was just being a team player and going with what the coaches wanted. I can tell you that's the truth.
And it's brutal because, you pay the social media team to film all the right things and all these clips being posted of him at the combine saying, oh, I'm so glad he ran a slow 40 because it gives us a good chance to get him. And, barring anything happens, I'm going to sleep tonight. And we're going to take Keon Coleman with our pick tomorrow. Like, just wild. Yeah.
I'm curious because if Bean did have another guy ahead of Coleman, who was that guy?
Right.
Who was that guy?
Yep.
Is there anybody, think about that, Jake, looking back now, and this is another thing is like, everyone in sports, every podcaster, every, wannabe head coach.
Yep.
We all knew that Coleman, coming out of college was not that great separator. Wasn't that guy because we're looking for that kind of that speed, right? Guy that could take it deep. And is there any other guys that you can remember that were taken? I mean, we moved back twice. Are there any guys ahead of Coleman receiver was that we could have had a chance? I know Xavier Worthy was the big one. He's not really turned out to be anything fantastic. He had, he's got his moments. And then there was your guy, Xavier Legette, who you like, and he's been injured off and on, big body dude. You still wish you would have taken one of those 2 guys?
No, not at all. It's crazy. I just looked at Xavier Legette's stats, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's had less receiving yards both years than Keon Coleman, and he has. And I know he's playing in a weirder offense. He's got Bryce Young, no disrespect, but it's not Josh Allen, right? So maybe things are a little different. But, I mean, the only guy, like Steve says, Lad McConkey. But, I wasn't totally sold on McConkey. I was sold on his testing scores, his football IQ, stuff like that. I felt like he was, a good player. But the lack of production and the injuries scared me a little bit with Lad. So I'll eat crow gladly on that because he's turned into a really good player.
Yeah.
The one name that really did piss me off a little bit was Ricky Pearsall getting drafted. And supposedly that's why the Bills did move back, because I think they wanted to go target Ricky Pearsall. And I know he's had issues, obviously, getting injured himself. But when he's on the field, the dude produces. He's a pretty damn good player. He's a hell of a route runner. He's fast. He's athletic. Like, that would have been a nice weapon to have. I think that would be a name. And obviously Lad. Yeah.
So
Brian Thomas Jr., though, too. I mean, we could have traded up and got him, but he goes at 23.
Look who's in the chat here. Look.
How about it?
Look at this. Brian Label. We talked about you earlier, Brian.
Yep.
We still believe you're Brian Dable, and here he goes. I'm spending a lot of time getting ready for my new job.
Yeah.
Brian, I'm curious. I mean, you got the job? You thinking you're the person? They're going to announce your name Wednesday? That's what we're hearing. Somebody's going to be announced Wednesday.
We shall see.
And Yeah, Steve, Lad McConkey. Yeah, Lad McConkey turned out to be a great route runner, good speed. We knew he had speed, but he says, "I think it's me."
My gut has been telling me it's going to be Brian Dable. I don't want to believe it necessarily, but I'll let it play out.
If it
He's
is
my
Dable,
third choice.
If it is Dable, who's he bringing in as the OC and the DC? You think?
I do think it'll be Davis Webb as the OC. The DC, I don't know. That's a good question. I think him and Webb have a good enough relationship. Webb worked with him in New York. Obviously was here when he was with the Bills on the practice squad. So,
anyway,
yeah, that DC is wide open to me.
Is there any way we could get a Romo?
That'd be pretty awesome.
Is there any way? I mean, if he doesn't get a coaching job, I don't know if he's still the DC for Indy, right?
He is, yeah. It'd have to be a pretty big pay increase because, I mean, he's in a decent situation in Indy. I know they didn't go to the playoffs, but they were on track to do so.
Man, but what an opportunity, right, to be that coach that turns his defense around.
Yeah. I want to see. I am curious. So I think it was Wink Martindale, 2 years with Brian Dable, and then it was, let's see, who did they have? Shane Bowen was the other guy he had, who also, I think he was fired. So, yeah, I'm not too. And he's a younger guy. He's been the DC in Tennessee and in New York, but not super enthusiastic about that as a potential hire as the DC. So, yeah, that's a wide open position to me.
Yeah, Brian. He says I have mixed feelings on the firing, which I was not on that train, but I have moved on. But I think it's a good move, is what he said. I'm not sure, Brian. I'll be telling you after the end of the next season. I'll be that guy to be super happy and say, you were all right. Should have fired McDermott probably a few years back. I remember John Fox I was telling you about early in the show. 4 seasons with the Broncos, winning records. 4 seasons. He had a 12-4 record in his final season. Previous season, he had went to the Super Bowl and lost. 12-4, and they fire him. They say, you know what? You can't get us over the hurdle. They only gave the guy 4 chances, and he got to a Super Bowl.
Right.
Oh, my goodness. But had mixed feelings, but I think it's a good move. So we'll see. Brian, if we go downhill and we don't make it next year, I'll be that guy saying, I'll be that guy.
Yeah.
Told you. You all wanted this. Where are we at right now? Especially if we tank. Oh, my goodness. It's going to be worse.
Oh, it's going to be
I also think the public is being too harsh about this regarding the press conference. I said the same thing. I did say the same thing maybe right before you got on. I said, look, I listened to this whole thing because I was hearing all this. I'm like, is it really that bad? I mean, I think they were picking and choosing, and obviously they can take little tidbits and blow it up. And I think that's what was happening. But there were some bad things being said, Brian.
Yeah. We could have been in Canada. We could have been in Canada. You're right. You're right. I will forever be indebted to Terry Pegula for keeping the team here in Buffalo, obviously securing this lease for the next 30 seasons. So that does feel good.
Hey, Bon Jovi, I'd have Bon Jovi all day as our owner. Come on now.
He wanted to move us to Canada. He was one of the guys. He was like, I'm moving this team to Toronto.
He want to move us to Canada?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
so I forever,
on him, but
when he said that, I can't
we
even
could have some
bon
serious concerts at the stadium, like Bon Jovi performing, halftime shows.
Yeah.
Come on. Tommy used to work on the docks. Let's go. We lost all those playoff games scoring over 30 points. What more could Allen do? McDermott was a defensive guy and can't stop scoring.
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of people put this game on Josh, which obviously turning the ball over as much as he did, 100%. It was not a great game at all by Josh Allen. Probably his worst playoff game since the Bengals game.
Definitely.
But then again, he also brought us back, did all he could to essentially get us this victory, and basically got robbed of a call. But, then McDermott's defense, again, you let up 33 points to a very, in my opinion, just a lackluster, mediocre offense. Like, they have some good young weapons.
Really?
God. Yeah, I'm not impressed by the Broncos off. I mean, they barely scored 20 points per game their last few games. I like Bo Nix, but I just like that offense in general. I think they made the right calls at the right time, but I don't know.
Like, all right. I mean, I know we have a hard time always blaming Josh Allen. He doesn't have the talent around him, but look, that fumble before halftime, running the ball. Don't tell me that's McDermott's fault. You'll be like, oh, McDermott should have told them to kneel down. That's like a $60 million dude. Take a shot. I was okay with it. I was like, yeah, throw that ball deep. Let's hope for a penalty. Maybe we get a field goal or something out of it. Throw it down the sideline. Something crazy happens. But Josh decides to run.
Yep.
You have no timeouts. There was only 16.
Just protect the ball.
Right.
I mean, that's all you had to do.
Just protect go down. There's nothing going to happen. But he's holding the ball out like this. I mean, seriously,
to pitch it or something, or I don't even know. It's just.
And then you can look at the catch. So I think I said this earlier. We got wide right. We've got the Music City Miracle. Got 13 seconds, and now we got the catch. I don't know what side of the fence you were on. Jake, are you on the?
It's a catch.
And it was fun. You said this earlier in the show. That happened 2 other times in that scene.
And then did you see last night with Cooper Kupp?
I didn't see that one.
Oh, just go back and watch. If you want to get really angry, just go back and watch.
So all 3 of the other ones were called catches.
Yeah.
Now, whatever side of the fence you're on, that game will always be known as the catch. But Josh Allen, look, that fumble before half, huge. You can argue that he missed Dawson Knox on right before the game ended on an easy touchdown pass. Now, there was pressure. Don't get me wrong. That wasn't like Josh was just standing there and had all day and nobody was pressuring him. There was pressure coming from the backside there. And then skip pass over to Khalil Shakir. Got to make that play. One of those plays. So you take away any of those plays and he makes one of them, game's a different thing. And then to throw the one interception that was not the catch, you can argue that that's just a bad throw as well.
Coverage was terrible.
Yeah.
So
we got to put some blame on him.
Yeah.
But you got to get the man some help. You got to get him. Like if we had any of these other weapons on any of these other teams playing, can you imagine what Josh would be doing with this Bills team? We dropped 30 on the Broncos. We probably would have dropped 40 on them, Jake. 40.
Like I firmly believe we win that game against Denver. We're probably playing in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, 100%.
I 100% believe it, but it's woulda, shoulda, coulda, right? You got to win the games that matter. You got to win the games you should win, and we just didn't do it. And that goes on everyone. It goes on Josh. It goes on the full team. It goes on coaching. Like it's everything.
Yeah. Chad, good to see you out there. Haven't seen you in a while. The Toronto Bills doesn't have a nice ring to it. It really doesn't. No, not at all. I don't even know if the league would have allowed that, honestly. I think the league would have shut that down for sure.
Yeah.
I got to talk to John Bon Jovi. What the hell was he thinking wanting to move? It's like, I'd like the dude. I've seen him in concert multiple times. Great show. I got to talk to him. I'll text him. He watches our show from time to time.
I'm sure he does.
90% of the Bills, Steve says 90% of the Bills' injuries have been on the defensive side of the ball for years. I truly believe the prototype of the player to play McDermott's defense is the root of the issue. I also feel like there's a lot of key issues on the offensive side of the ball, Steve. I mean, you look at Dalton Kincaid. There's even who's the guy there? The guy who came back from us this year got injured and tore his ACL. Was the guy he played with us?
Gabe Davis.
Gabe Davis.
Yeah.
Gabe Davis.
And then
we are fortunate that old line. I don't know how. Kudos to that man. I'll tell you what. Connor McGovern goes to he gets injured in that game. I'm thinking he's done. I'm thinking he's not even going to play. And then you see who came in for him. Was it Anderson? Who came in at center? Comes in. Anderson trying to snap the ball, hits his own butt, snapping the ball back, and he knew that was trouble. But he works his way back in. McGovern says, I'm playing. So I hope we can sign McGovern. And yes, to that point, somehow we've been so fortunate with this offense. If we can just keep that offense together, because if we lose McGovern, I mean, who's our guy? They really haven't. Who's the guy that we have?
Cedric Van Pran Granger.
Right. Good player coming out of college. We liked him, but I don't, he hasn't really had an opportunity to play much at all.
Yeah.
He's been injured, actually.
He has. Yeah.
And then you got all our guys like, Palmer. Look, Palmer came to the Bills from the Chargers. He had an injury-riddled career. You got Curtis Samuel, injury-riddled career. Why are we bringing these guys in? So go back to Bean. Why are we bringing these guys in?
You know what? I'll say this. If anyone needs to be totally canned, and I know we tried this, that strength and conditioning staff, get rid of every single human being on that staff because it's a nightmare. I'm sorry. There is a common denominator here. and it's bad.
Yeah, I mean, look at Ed Oliver, right?
Yeah.
Recovering from the torn bicep, hurts himself in practice of some sort, or while he's rehabbing, has to have surgery on his knee. It was minor surgery, but still kept him out probably one additional week, if not two.
Crazy,
right? So yeah, Ryan, I agree. I mean, let's hope the curse is left. Leave that curse. If Hallmark with the Ralph, it's gone. Now I do know, is the burial ground also extend across the street? It might.
I think it does. Yeah. So it's going to continue, unfortunately.
We'll see, Brian. But I agree.
You know, it's I actually, and this is going off track a little bit. I do wonder. There's a couple places on that strip there where the stadium falls right behind O'Neill's, right on the corner there. It's a bar. Then you got Louis Hot Dogs. You can't get rid of Louis. You got to keep that. That's a buy 5 get 1 free deal. Louis Slime, Mike, you know about Louis Slime Dogs, right? I mean,
love it.
Come on. Curious to see what they do, though. I mean, I know they're supposed to be putting in some hotels and stuff like that, but we got limited time here.
Chad says, yeah, ultimately it falls on the quarterback. You can turn the ball over 4 times. Yep, 100%.
Unfortunately, too, the teams. Yeah,
that James Cook fumble, dude. Again, we're not trying to go back to the game. That was a big turnaround. We were 7-3. We're marching, about to go score, go up 14-3, take control of this game.
Yep.
And that fumble. And he's had fumble issues. In that particular play, though, it was just, he got hit. I mean, that was a great hit by the defense. And it wasn't like he was doing Josh stuff with the ball out here and all over the place. He sort of had it covered. Just got a
textbook. Yeah.
Beautiful hit on that.
Yep.
And, and yes, you hold Mahomes to, these standards. Like, can't be careless with the ball, expect to win. Brian, we got 5-7 season.
5-7 season test with Josh. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Left with Josh. We got limited time left. So need to change. Otherwise, definition of insanity. Of course, I want the job. So I'm biased. Yeah, I know. You're really selling yourself there, Mr. Dable. But yeah, we talked about it earlier in the show. There's been some coaches that were fired. Like John Fox was fired after 4 years coaching the Broncos. And he had a very successful run with them. Won the AFC West. I think all 4 times he was there with them. Got him to a Super Bowl. I think they lost to the Cowboys. And then he has a 12-4 season. And I'm like, sorry, John. And this was a coach who had already coached. Say, sorry, John, you can't get us to the next level. Kubiak comes in, takes them to the Super Bowl. So there's hope.
Crazy.
There's hope for this. I went. You missed the start of it, Ryan. You got to watch it. We went through the history. There was like 7 coaches, first-time coaches, either rookie coaches or coaches that had coached before and were the first time I'm coaching for a new team and got them to the Super Bowl. It was about split 50-50 whether they won or lost. And I think Vrabel will be the tipping point right there. If he gets, first time with the Patriots, gets them to the Super Bowl after a 4-win team last year. I still don't know how they did it. Obviously, they had one of the best off seasons, had a really good draft, had some good young players from the previous season. When you lose, you're that bad for that many years, you're going to be able to stock up on some draft capital. And that draft capital, if you hit it right, turns into gold. And look what happened this year, man.
It's interesting, though. I just read something, and some of the really key contributors, Mike, were actually in Bill Belichick's last draft class in 2022, 2023. I mean, some notable names like Ramondre Stevenson, Bryce Behringer, their punter, Michael Onwenu, Pop Douglas, like a lot of really good players, good contributors to that team. So it's like Belichick's last chance to haunt the Bills, of course. And by the way, that's a name I heard thrown out there early on in this process.
I did too.
To be a possible Bills coach. And I'm like,
I threw it out there. I was like, why not? Let's talk to Bill.
Right. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the matchup of Gonzalez, their cornerback, their star cornerback. What's his first name?
Christian Gonzalez.
Against JSN. I think that's going to be the matchup of the game right there. And I know the Patriots, everyone's probably thinking, based on what they've seen from the Seahawks, Seahawks are 5.5-point favorites. But I'll tell you what, I guarantee you this is going to be a close game.
The
And then I
defense
see
is
it
really
people.
good. I don't think New
Yep.
England. I mean, that's why they're essentially in the Super Bowl. I mean, that offense you saw, it was pretty pitiful. I mean, Drake Maye did not play his best football in the playoffs. That defense stepped up in a big way. That offensive line is kind of in shambles. They're going to have a hard time against that defensive line for Seattle for sure.
They will, but I'm sure they'll come up with a game plan. And
Oh,
make
they
it
will. And that
right.
defense is going to play solid
Yeah.
football for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, Chad. People in KC wanted Andy Reid fired this season, which is crazy to me. I'm
Yeah.
not one of them because he has done so much for us. However, things needed to change, and hope we get them. Have to hold them accountable. Yep.
Yeah.
Ryan
I like
says-
yeah.
I'm sorry. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just going to say I like what he said about Eric Bieniemy coming back to the offense. Yeah. Now, I'll be honest with you, Chad. When I heard that he was going back to you guys, I got shivers running up and down my spine because you remember how potent that offense was with Bieniemy. So, yeah, you guys are going to be in good shape. Hopefully, Patty Mahomes rehabs real well and he's able to come back sooner rather than later. I'll say this too. Man, the playoffs just weren't the same this year without Mahomes and Lamar. And I know people are salivating over the fact and the fact that it was Josh Allen's biggest, easiest path to the Super Bowl. Of course, we're not there. But, God, doesn't it feel more satisfying when those other guys are in and you can maybe have a chance at beating them? Like, wouldn't it be satisfying? And I know, Chad, you're not going to like this. Wouldn't it be satisfying to beat Pat Mahomes in Arrowhead in the AFC Championship to finally get over that hump?
Man. Yeah.
I know. I don't care who it is, but also there's a part of me where it's like, man, for once, let's just get that monkey off our back. It would be nice.
It would be. Ryan, this is a great question, and I think kind of touched on it a little bit. So if the next head coach wins us a Super Bowl, now, is that going to be year one, year two? Because we've been saying Super Bowl or bust. But let's say that next coach gets the Super Bowl in either the first or second year they're with us. Who gets more credit? Pagula's being or the head coach? I'm sure Pagula would want to take more credit than they deserve. So I'll go first. I'll let Jake answer after this. So if the coach wins a Super Bowl with the current roster, it's a head coach. And I know the roster is going to change a little bit, right? But if they don't bring in a weapon for Josh, and they don't turn that defense around and bring in some closers, and we are going to lose some people this year. I mean, Milano, I don't know if we bring him back. He had a pretty good year towards the end of the season. He's probably going to get a nice payday. I don't know if we're going to bring him back. And we got some offensive line people. So to me, if the head coach wins with the current roster, Bean doesn't make any huge moves because we're always seem to be under the salary cap. We can't make these big moves. But if he doesn't, his head coach wins. Pagula, Bean, the head coach gets all the credit here. Head coach, 100%. If Bean makes some big moves and the head coach wins, I'm saying, I said this earlier, McDermott would have won. That's what would be my take. McDermott would have won with this roster. So in that case, it would be Bean, I guess, or Pagula. But that's just my thought. He says, I'm sure Pagula would want to take more credits than they deserve. Yes, probably. What's your thoughts, Jake?
I agree with everything you just said. Yeah, I think do I think Terry has a little bit of an ego? Maybe, but he's going to let his guys take credit where credit's due. And unfairly, again, this coach is going to have so much pressure riding on him. But Bean has to do what he can to get him some help. I mean, for real. Please.
Please. Yeah, Chad says, honestly, if that happened, I think people would really say Buffalo has arrived. So if they were able to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs, finally get over that hurdle, it'd be amazing. Chad, what's the word? I heard some crazy, and I wouldn't put it past them. I heard that Mahomes is targeting week one to return.
I believe it.
And that guy could do it. But what have you heard, Chad? Be curious. Then Brian says, regarding Super Bowl, glad to see new teams, but got to believe the NFL guys are not excited about this one. Kind of a dud of a Super Bowl. I'm rooting for Darnold. Yeah, I'm a fan of Darnold as well. His journey's been insane. 5 different teams. Looked like a bust. Started off with the Jets. Of course, don't blame that on him. But I really thought he was a bust.
Yeah.
Jake, I really did until last year in Minnesota. And I even thought that was a one-year wonder. And then he gets the big gig over in Seattle, and look what happened. So good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him. And I'm not hating on Drake Maye either, just because he's on the Patriots. second year dude. Come on, man. You got to give him credit. Now, here's the question. Who's the MVP this year, Jake? Who's winning the MVP?
Yeah, that's a good question. The problem is that this MVP vote is done before the Super Bowl happens. So it's like if Matt Stafford wins the MVP and then Drake Maye goes on and has an insane game in the Super Bowl, everyone's going to be clamoring and saying, "Oh, Maye should have won MVP." I think Maye has definitely done more with less. But man, you got to give it to old Matty Stafford. Come on, guy's been near perfect all year. I know he had one really bad game that kind of tanked his MVP odds a little bit, but I still think you got to give it to Matt Stafford. Statistically, best quarterback in the NFL this year.
Remember, this is a regular season award.
It is.
Playoffs.
That's
it's
true.
Already, apparently, they've already voted on it, right? So it's
right.
And they reveal it. I think did they reveal it
this
right
weekend,
before the Super Bowl?
This upcoming weekend, I believe.
This upcoming weekend.
No, it's the weekend. I think it's the Saturday before the Super Bowl. So we're talking, next weekend. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pulling for Matt. I mean, I love Matt Stafford. That's why I was kind of pulling for the Rams a little bit. But he did have some great weapons: Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, and the tight end for them,
Kobe Parkinson, Terrence
running back. Dude, if Josh had one of those Puka Nacuas, like,
good Lord.
And Puka was crazy. Wasn't Puka? He was like a late round pick, wasn't he?
5th round pick. Mike, you know what's terrible?
Goodness. Yeah.
I did a little research for you.
Okay.
Justin Shorter, taken in the 5th round of the 2023 draft. You know some of the receivers taken after Justin Shorter? Puka Nacua was one of those guys. Demario Douglas, one of those guys. Dontavian Wicks, one of those guys. Who else? There's another name in there too. I think I sent you guys a text.
How do we miss on that, Jake? How do we miss on that?
It's all a crapshoot in the 5th round, but God, you look at some of these names and it's sickening. Parker Washington, Kayshon Boutte, Andre Ochivas. I mean, some quality receivers there taken after Justin Shorter, who's not actually registered a catch in the NFL to this point, who I had high hopes for.
Yeah, we did. I know. I remember we put that short out.
I think it's the most viewed short we have.
Yeah, it is the most viewed short. We got a lot of subscriptions off of that one.
Yoked.
Crazy. Like, how can a guy like
he's on the Raiders? Yeah.
Puka Nacua, dude. What an incredible receiver. I mean, unbelievable. I was lucky enough to have him and Stafford in fantasy football. Didn't get me anything, but I made a run for the championship.
Damn.
But dude, it's just you look back and you're like, oh my goodness, we could have had him.
Right.
And whoever did get him and whoever found him and said, we got to draft this guy, because he was pretty much a star of the first season, right? His rookie season. I mean, he was showing up right away, actually starting 5th round pick. Oh my goodness, how do we miss this?
It's funny you mentioned that. He was one of the first 5th round picks in quite some time to go to the Pro Bowl, and now this year Shedeur Sanders is the first 5th round pick since Puka Nacua to now go to the Pro Bowl.
A lot of
Pro
people
Bowl's an absolute joke.
This is the thing, though. So I think our good friend Tony in our chat was saying, look how many Pro Bowlers McDermott or Bean has had. And I said, we can't really judge that on the Pro Bowl because 1/3 of it is the fans, 1/3 of it is the coaches, and 1/3 of it is the players.
Right.
And then you see guys like Shedeur Sanders getting to the Pro Bowl. I mean, obviously, there are other players declining, and they just have to give it to somebody.
Yeah.
But, I don't think you can judge someone based on how many Pro Bowlers they have in today's.
I would say anything after the year of like 2012.
Yeah.
Ever since it moved from Hawaii. You know what? The biggest mistake they made was moving it to the week before the Super Bowl, because already you're going to lose out. I mean, when you have 2 teams in the Super Bowl, most of the time those teams have quite a few Pro Bowlers on their rosters. Yeah. So you're going to have alternates for a good, maybe 15 dudes already right off the bat. On top of that, like, Mike, I went back and watched a condensed version of the 2004 Pro Bowl. You had Peyton Manning throwing passes to Tony Gonzalez, Ed Reed blocking punts. I mean, big hits. Freaking Roy Williams laying out Todd Heap. What happened to the game I love? Like, you had so many Hall of Famers playing in this game.
Yeah.
I mean, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Steve Aaron McNair. Like, there were some guys, some real good players. And I saw a tweet from Sean Merriman earlier today. He's like, I walk past my Pro Bowl helmet every once in a while in my house, and I think about how much that game meant to me back then because players took it more serious. And I don't know if it was the incentives being higher or, if it was just a pride thing. And I know money is heavily involved now, and players want to protect themselves from injury more than ever, bigger, stronger, faster, whatever. But this isn't that long ago. I mean, the talent was still, we're talking about Ed Reed, Mike. We're talking about freaking Ray Lewis, like guys that could flat out kill you. I mean, this is insane. And, I'll always remember our boy Brian Moorman going out there on a fake punt run, getting laid out by Sean Taylor. Rest in peace. What happened to the game that I loved, Mike? It's gone. It's dead. Now it's flag football, and it's played with 10th alternates. It's insane.
Yeah,
disgusting.
It's definitely a joke. And
I'm going to clip that. I want to clip that as a short because it needs to be out to the public.
We'll make sure
with the Pro Bowl.
We'll make sure that's a short. We got to get some shorts out. By the way,
we do.
I think we're at 1972. That's our sub count. We're just trying to get to that 2,000 mark, and then we can ride off into the sunset. No, I'm just kidding, but
it'll be I'll pop the champagne.
We started the season around 1965, and we ended the season in 1972. How does that happen, Jake?
I know.
Why are people not hitting that sub button for us? I don't know. Chad, what are we missing, Chad? What are you missing, Brian? What are you missing, Steve?
Give us suggestions, guys. What do we need to do?
We might have to bring more steak chefs on here. Steve, get them on here, cook a real steak.
That's right.
Actually do a real cooking of a steak for us.
I want to see it. Yes, please.
And by the way, I was waiting for that sous vide to go on sale. It was $158. It went up to $199. I'm like, what the heck is happening?
I got it for I think $109, and it was like 30% off or something.
I'm looking for the. Did you get the one with the Wi-Fi 3.0? That's the one.
The Innova one. Yeah, whatever one.
Yeah,
Steve told
Innova
me.
has a couple different models.
Okay,
their top models. It's like 1,200 watts, and it's like a little over 200. The other one was 158. Let's jump to 190. Bumped.
Yeah, that's expensive. I will say it does make a difference. I've never had more tender steak in my life. God, it's awesome.
Jake, you can cook anything with it, any meat. I don't know.
I know chicken. I have. I'll tell you what, Mike. Chevettas. If you like chevettas, you marinate that chicken. You put it in a vacuum sealed bag. Throw it in there. Oh my goodness!
Right,
it's next level. It's really good.
I've been waiting. I was like, there's gonna have to be a sale, and then they bump up the price, and I'm like, oh my goodness. So I'll have to wait a little bit longer, but I want to get one. Chad says, "Hey, it always seems like when
that's true.
Fans in there, we get more. Maybe have more people come on the show that are from other family bases besides the ones we usually do. Know.
And ads. Chad's saying that our ads killing us. Ads, we are monetized though. I don't know if we can even control
that. No, we can't. And actually, what I do." There is you basically let YouTube manage it for you, but I always say the lowest. I want the best experience for our folks, so I set it to the lowest. I'm not greedy. I'm like, it's not like we're going to get a ton of money anyway. You don't make a lot of money on these ads, but they have like, aggressive, and then they have a balanced, and then they have the low, which says the best experience for your viewers. So I always pick that. Sorry to hear that, Chad, but we've been going for little over 2 hours, so. Got to help us pay the bills a little bit, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate the hell out of you, Chad. It's good to see you out there again. You're more than welcome to join us again, too, at some point, because, I agree. And we love having other fan bases on. I think it's good discourse, and, we've had
Cody on many times. We've had, we used to have Keith, Dolphins, right?
Chad himself.
We've had Chad at least once or twice,
couple times.
Yeah. So definitely, Chad. Good to see you. Well, listen, Jake, it's past midnight over where you are. I know you're recovering a little bit from some illness, so I appreciate you. It was good talking about this. It's been 8 days since that terrible ending to the Bills season, and we've been wanting to get on the air, just things got in the way. So it's nice to get on and kind of talk about it a little bit. Our friend Tony wants to do a show with you and I on our midway this Wednesday.
Okay.
I think he wants to talk about the Bills. And what did he say here? He said, I want to do a show with you and Jake this week talking about the Bills and football in general. I don't know what idea he has, but, Tony loves to talk football. He's a great speaker. And he's played college football for Boise State. And so he knows the game. So it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can make that happen. That's in 2 days.
I love it. I'm in.
Yeah, you'll see us over. After the season. We might even have some shows talking about the Super Bowl. But after the season, we'll do our thing. Get back into, you got free agency first, then you got draft. It's rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat.
Big, just 360. That's what it is. Hopefully that 360 turns into, oh my goodness, we won a Super Bowl. And then, Mike, 24-hour live stream. We're going to the airport. We're meeting the team. We're going to the parade. Dude, we're going to every wing spot in Buffalo. I'm taking off work for a full month. I don't care.
Same here. I'm traveling to Buffalo. I was already planning. I try to be conservative with the planning because I'm like, don't get too ahead of yourself. You're a Bills fan. You know what happens. But we'll see it. Hopefully.
I sit in bed with the dumbest smile just thinking about how incredible that parade is going to be. I don't know how old I'm going to be, but I'm going to be there. One of these, whether it's up in the big sky or here on Earth, I don't know.
Same here. I'm hoping I'm around. I'm hoping I'm alive for it. And we'll see. We'll see. But listen, thanks, man. It was a lot of fun. Over 2 hours. Hopefully we talked about all the important things, which I think we did, the coaching, stuff like that. We'll see. We'll find out this week. And if things get delayed, your chances of getting Kubiak go up, I think, right? The longer this goes on, it might mean the Bills are waiting. And they were somehow able to sneak in a conversation.
That'd be awesome.
So a little chat. Somebody's got to know him. Like, text them.
Hey, I know, right? Yeah. I think Kelshi, the betting app, has Udinsky as the front runner at like 62% right now.
Oh, really?
So,
well,
interesting.
He's your second guy on your list, right?
Yeah.
So, look at Chad. Comes back in. Can always appreciate you, Chad. Brings the super chat to us. Help him pay the bills. Great show. I missed the first hour of the show, but who do you want as head coach? Who do you think it will be? Jake, we've mentioned this a few times. Give him the rundown.
I'll give you my top 3. Number 1, Clint Kubiak. Familiarity. Coach Delvin Cook in 2021 with Minnesota has really transformed every offense he's been in. Obviously, you see what he did in Seattle. If you watched the game last night, I mean, just some of the play calls, brilliant. Meaningful pre-snap motion. Every quarterback that's played under him has played phenomenal with him being the OC, I should say. Yeah. So obviously head coach can change a little bit, but I think you bring an offensive philosophy like that here, it'd be special. I mean, his dad, head coach Gary Kubiak, coached in the league for a long time, played in the league, comes from a football family. Yeah, won a Super Bowl himself as a first-year head coach with Denver. So not first year, but first year in Denver, I should say.
First year in Denver, yeah.
You probably don't love that part, Chad, but yes. Second, Grant Udinsky, 30-year-old kid, grinded his way, was a GA at Baylor, was under Matt Rule's staff there, followed him to Carolina, then goes to Minnesota. Jack of all trades, does everything, works his way up as the assistant to the head coach in special projects, to being a scout team receiver, doing all these different things, working alongside Josh McCown, becomes an assistant offensive coordinator, then leaves to go to Jacksonville, was the OC this past year. Obviously, we saw what happened in Jacksonville. I know the Liam Cohen influence was definitely there, but I think Udinsky definitely was a big reason for the offensive spark and how the Jags surprised a lot of people this year. So super intriguing, young candidate, outside the box, first-time head coach. Why not? So common theme here. Kubiak's 38, Udinsky's 30. Third option, people don't love it. It's not the sexiest option, but he was in the chat. Brian Daboll. Yeah. Brian Daboll, former OC for the Bills. When he left the Bills, we were the number 1 offense in football, Mike. Coached up Steph Diggs, Josh Allen. Obviously, we had Steph at the time, but a lot of the players that coached or that worked underneath him when he was the OC here spoke very highly of him. I think he did a tremendous job of scheming receivers open. Did a lot with, honestly, I mean, outside of Steph Diggs, what were the big household names that we had besides Josh Allen, right? Like, not a lot on that offense. So you give him a good running back. He comes back to Buffalo guy from my alma mater, St. Francis High School. Why not? Let's give it a go.
Even John
I know he's
Brown,
a hothead, but
before we got Diggs, John Brown.
Yeah.
Dude.
And Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah, Josh was lighting it up with John Brown. Lighting it up. It was crazy.
Yep. I know.
Anyhow.
It's something.
So listen, we appreciate everybody out there in the chat. If you're catching us on the rewatch, smash that like button for us. If you're new, drop a nickel on the subscribe. It's absolutely free. We really appreciate it. Share. Get it out there for us. Help us out. Find some other folks that are fans of any fan. We welcome all fan bases, as Chad is proof here. Weston's proof, another Chiefs fan. He joins us quite often. He's in our Discord. But join us and share the channel. Let people know about us. We appreciate it. So Jake, I got to get you to bed, man. It's past midnight. I know you're sick. 2 hours and 14 minutes.
Not
We had
going
to
to
get
bed.
this off our chest.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go watch Mike Allstott highlights.
All right. Oh, dude. Come on.
That's how I'm
now.
going to go to bed.
Come on. Thanks again, Chad, for the super chat. We really appreciate you. Hey,
Yeah.
everyone, take care. And until next time, go Bills.
Go Bills.